niya ng checks and balances pagdating po sa premium collections from our OFWs? Parang hindi naman yata po katanggap-tanggap po.
Hindi. Meron naman yung specific details niyan. Nasa aming ngang treasury. Sila ang nakaalam po niyan.
Sige ma'am, ikwento niyo na lang ang general sa inyo lang pagkakaalam. Bilang head ng OFW program, bilang head,
Okay.
ano po ang inyong pagkakaalam?
As far as I know, kunyari ang OFW sa Hong Kong ay mag-remit sa Bentaha, Bentaha will cause the remittance to our PhilHealth account.
Okay, local.
Opo. And then, ina-advise niya yata, I think they have a link with our treasury people na para ma-post on the same day or the following day ang remittance.
So, same day posting ang inyong policy?
As much as possible. Pero merong iba, the following day na, siguro beyond na the working hours, yung after 4 o'clock na in the afternoon.
Okay. Ito pong online banking transactions, hindi po ba recent lang yan?
Opo.
Bago po tayo nagkaroon ng gantong klaseng sistema, paano ninyo kinokolekta? Physically ba? Nung wala pa pong online system, meron tayong OFWs all over the world, hindi po ba? Paano sila nagbabayad?
Ringo, can you help?
Gaano katagal na po kayo sa PhilHealth?
I was in various offices since 2007, late 2007.
And dito po, in your current position, how many years?
Since 2015.
Since 2015. So, noong 2015 po ba, ganyan na ang sistemang nadatnan ninyo na online?
Opo, ganyan na po. And we have made proposals nga to allow OFWs to pay online banking and all these other new modes of payment, which has to go through the accreditation process of PhilHealth. Kasi meron silang mga requirements about financial statements and all that stuff.
So, nagkaroon na ba ng kaso na sinabi ng isang OFW na nakapag-remit siya sa inyong collecting agents, pero hindi po na-reflect sa inyong records ang pagtanggap po ng premium niya?
Merong mga occasional cases po na ganyan, nangyayari po yan. Nangyayari yan lalo na sa Hong Kong, kasi sa Hong Kong, marami ng ating OFWs, malakas talaga silang mag-remit and they really follow up. At minsan may nangyayari na nagkasakit na yung kanilang mga dependents, pero yung pala hindi pa na-remit ng agency. But hindi naman ganun yata katagal ang hindi pag-remit ng agency. Siguro yung iba nakaligtaan, siguro 1 week or 2 weeks at the most, ganun.
So in other words, ma'am, sa inyong palagay, pero hindi masyadong maraming beses, ibig sabihin panaka-naka lang siya? Is this in other words a cause for concern as far as you are concerned bilang head ng OFW program?
Hindi po. Kasi bihira lang naman siya nangyayari, and that's why it comes to our attention, and we make the necessary follow-up with both the agent, the collecting agent abroad, and the treasury here.
Okay, so in other words, you have not filed any cases against any of your collecting agents?
Wala naman po.
Magkano po ang kanilang fees as collecting agents?
Yung ibang mga agencies, nagpo-promo sila, parang binabundle nila parang kunyari SSS, Pag-ibig at PhilHealth, binabundle up nila po yon plus their remittance, yung money nila na pinapadala sa kanilang pamilya dito. So, konti na lang ang binabayaran. I'm not just sure of the amount kung magkano po siya.
So in other words, ma'am, sa tingin nyo, tama ba? Wala masyadong problema sa sistema ng pagkolekta. Ang problema lang is napakakonti ng koleksyon ninyo. Dahil
Correct.
napakaliit po ng nakaka-capture ninyo na OFW payments. Tama
Yes.
po?
Exactly.
Ngayon,
And ngayon, gusto nga namin sana na engage ang PhilHealth dito sa makabagong mga paraan like mga GCash, online banking, Paymaya, and all that stuff, no? Kasi ngayon, madali na lang ngayon mag-remit it's being done by SSS and Pag-ibig, yung aming mga
Pero ano pong ang sitwasyon kasi natin, based on 2019 reports, ang total collections ninyo is 1.02 billion from OFWs, no?
Yes,
pero
ma'am.
ang claims nila is 1.7 billion.
Correct.
This is a sector na gamit na gamit po ang kanilang benefits.
Opo.
So ano ang paano po? Anong gagawin natin dito? Right now po, so ngayon na magiging voluntary ang payments nga dahil nga syempre sa pandemic po. Meron tayong Section 9, tama po ba dun sa batas? Na ang ibig sabihin sa Section 9 is whether ka nakabayad or hindi, you can demand eligibility sa inyong benefits.
Opo.
Tama. Ngayon, kung kaso na nagkasakit ang isang miyembro, hindi nakapagbayad pa ng premium, pero pagdating na sa ospital, hindi siya pwedeng tanggihan.
Correct.
In other words, nasa burden po ng PhilHealth na kolektahin yan.
Yes po.
Okay.
Correct.
Sa ngayon po, klaro po, no, dahil voluntary na nga lang po ang payment ng PhilHealth, ngayon po, mas mabigat na ang responsibilidad ng PhilHealth sa pagkolekta ng premiums. Pero ngayon po, tingnan ko ang inyong report, 300,000 lang nakokolekta. Tama, 300,000 lang ang nakokolektahan ninyo compared to the 3 million na dapat nyong kolektahan. Na talagang ang layo naman po sa target.
Yes.
Ano po bang sistema ninyo? Hindi ba kayo pressure ng CEO ninyo, ang opisina ninyo particularly? Kasi ang baba po ng collection rate ninyo. Kayo po ba, nakatanggap po ba kayo ng performance-based bonus last year?
Nakatanggap ba tayo? Ewan ko lang. Wala pa yata yun.
Hindi, pero ano ba ang key performance indicator ng opisina ninyo bilang OFW head? Di ba may key performance indicators para sa performance-based bonus?
Correct.
Kasama po ba dyan ang collections?
Ganito po yon. Yung opisina namin, we do policy work, policy formulation work. At the same time, dahil nga wala namang nagti-take up ng information and actual campaign to collect, kung maaari lang, ginagawa po namin yon. Kaya we saw the only best way to become efficient in collecting is through POEA. If POEA will cooperate with us. Kasi we have been negotiating with POEA since 2015, since they stopped the collection. And yet, wala. They have asked us for opinions from DOJ and the Solicitor General, which gave us very positive feedback naman na dapat talaga it's incumbent upon POEA to collect. And it is all right for POEA to collect kasi nga oversight naman ang POEA sa OFWs, which it seeks also to protect. Okay. Pinoporso namin ito. Pero sa ngayon, gusto po naming mag-deploy ng representative overseas na na-postpone na-postpone. We have proposed for Hong Kong and UAE. UAE, we are about to get a nod from the Philippine Embassy there. And then Hong Kong, but hindi tinuloy ng Hong Kong. We are also proposing, pero ang ano namin sa opisina is that we can deploy if we are given the go signal to deploy at least to 2 countries lamang.
Honorable
Pero
Kimbo,
sa ngayon,
question.
everything is in suspended animation dahil nga dito sa pandemic.
Honorable Kimbo,
So
last
ma'am,
question.
sige po. So ma'am, ano po ang target collections ninyo? No, bilang head ng OFW program, ano po ang tina-target ninyong premium collections at this point in time? At paano niyo po gagawin yan? Apart from partnering with POEA. Kasi sa tingin ko parang ang sinasabi ninyo, dapat tulungan kayo ng POEA. Pero
Yes.
ganun ba talaga ang mandato ninyo? Hindi ba dapat on your own? Kasi ang alam ko, ang ibang mga GFIs, no, tulad halimbawa ng Pag-ibig Fund, sila po ay nakakapag-kolekta from OFWs all over the country. Kasi meron silang
Yes.
mga officers na naka-deploy all over the world. So in other words, meron silang sistema on their own na hindi sila nakasalalay sa POEA. Kayo
Yes
po
po.
ba? Wala ganon. So umpisa natin dun sa first question muna. Dun sa 3 million, ano ba dapat ang target ninyo na premium collections?
Based on
Honorable Kimbo, that would be the last question. Thank you.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please reply, Honorable Ma'am Chonayap.
yung target po namin, sana kahit ma-maintain lang yung present collection sa land base na 300 plus thousand, kasi po yung 3 million, that's in our database, hindi naman yun yung actual na nadi-deploy every year. Every year, ang deployment po kasi is about 1 million up to 2019. 1 million OFWs abroad. Out of the 1 million na dinideploy every year, 300 plus thousand lang ang nagbabayad. So, ang tinatarget lang namin dyan, ang tinatarget po namin without the requirement na OEC is to maintain at the very least yung present collection and then target for more without also an officer abroad. Nahihirapan po talaga kami. Hirap na hirap po kami. Ang Pag-ibig at SSS, meron silang mga representatives abroad in I think 28 countries. At ang Pag-ibig ay mandatory silang mandatory ang Pag-ibig before deployment na nakakabit sa OEC. Yan
Thank
lang
you.
ang in-entertain ng POEA, yung Pag-ibig.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Honorable Kimbo. Thank you, Ma'am Chonayap.
Thank you po.
Yes.
Congresswoman.
I guess from yung ating po mga OFWs na payagan po natin magsalita kasi medyo yung oras nila din po. So, I may recognize Ms. J. Tolentino of Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Mr. J. Tolentino, dyan po ba kayo?
Yes po, magandang umaga po, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Tolentino, alam niyo po itong topic namin, yung OFWs po sa PhilHealth, amin pong pinag-aaralan. At sana po, ngayon ding araw, magkaroon kami ng rekomendasyon. Dahil ito naman pong ating batas ay bago. Hindi pa ito na-implementa at may panahon pa na may ayos namin to. Kaugnay na rin dun sa ating panawagan ng ating Pangulo na gawing voluntary ito nung makita niyang nagkaroon ng problema ngayong pandemya. So Mr. Joy Tolentino, you have the floor. Kindly present your position. Maraming salamat po.
Yes po, maraming pong salamat una sa lahat for inviting me here on behalf of the other Filipinos working abroad. So personally, I'll just introduce myself. Ako po si J. Tolentino. I've been here in the UAE for the past 5 years. Currently, I'm working as a financial planner sa mga Filipinos here. And ang stand po namin, not just me, myself, but the entire or majority of the Filipinos here is that yung mandatory na 3% is totally not just redundant but also expensive. Kasi nga, let me explain po, kasi first, it's redundant. Kasi lahat po na nag-work dito sa UAE na Filipinos and other expatriates na nag-work sa Dubai and Abu Dhabi, kasama na po ang medical insurance as part of the law. Mandated po ng government na dapat yung companies here would provide for their employers. Sa iba pong Emirates, it is optional for them. Now, if the OF would, yes po.
Yung coverage nyo po, talagang over na, comprehensive na ang medical coverage nyo pagka dyan po sa inyo sa UAE, sa Dubai?
Normally po, it's minimum lang, nasa 150k dirhams. Pero pag po chinecheck, mamaya po I will also discuss about yung coverage ng PhilHealth na would be insufficient for us OFs. So, as I was saying po, no, it's already redundant. Kasi nga, siguro kung magdadagdag kami, dito na lang kami kukuha para mas malaki ang aming coverage. And I also checked with my friends sa Canada and Australia. Yung isa kong friend sa Canada, sabi nila, libre na ang healthcare nila doon. And government will issue a health card. Basically, ginagamit nila yon kung gusto nila mag-check with the doctors, if they have complaints or they need to be taken to the ER. Yung isa ko namang friend sa Australia, he said to me na for citizens and PRs, or PR, covered na ng Medicare nila, which is part ng kanilang 20% tax. So, we feel na this is totally redundant. And we think na siguro tong pera na to, tong 3%, no, if maging investment na lang siguro to, that would be better siguro for us. But as an extra expense, I don't think it is relevant for us pa. And going back then, siguro when I was working in the Philippines, I worked there for 7 years. I never used PhilHealth kasi nga I had my HMO as much better option for me back then nung nagkaroon ako ng partial tear sa aking shoulder. Now, my second point here is yung insufficiency or totally insufficient yung coverage ng PhilHealth. If I can share my screen, guys, kasi one of the common cases here sa OF sa UAE is that 450 out of 1,000 na Filipinos are diagnosed ng cancer here, and 450 of them ang case is breast cancer. Now, if alam niyo kung i-share, I have a proof of that.
Go ahead.
Okay, sige po. So here's an article po sa isang local newspaper here. 450 Pinays in the UAE diagnosed with breast cancer every year. And roughly 1,000 po ay nagkakaroon ng cancer. And dito, ang cost ng cancer treatment ng chemotherapy is nasa 32,000 dirhams. Depende sa type of cancer. And I was checking yung coverage ng breast cancer treatment ng PhilHealth. It's only 100,000. So it's totally insufficient for us.
Mr. Tolentino, ano po ang translation ng support sa inyo in peso terms?
That is roughly 400,000 pesos po. Above 400,000.
Oh, sige po.
And sige po, paano ba i-stop ang aking screen share? Now, that's number 2, it's inefficient. And number 3, we find it expensive kasi paying 3% to 5% for lack of coverage is expensive. I'm working here as a financial planner. And part of what I do is to look for the most affordable insurance coverage for my clients. Okay? And normally, ito lang, ang nabibigay ko nga normally na percentage of the income ng aking clients is 3% to 5% at max. And I can already give a coverage of 3.75 million pesos ang katumbas. So, kung yung client ko na yun tamaan ng critical illness, she can survive for the next 4 years. I just had one case na ganito and she took a critical illness program with me. May kasamang life insurance yun. And nung kinalculate ko siya, it's only 3% of her income. Pero kung tamaan siya ng isang, let's say, malubhang sakit, like a cancer nga po, she can survive for the next 4 years with that amount of coverage. And as I can see here, if the OF will only rely on PhilHealth, 100K will definitely not be enough. And I also checked yung coverage ng chemotherapy dito. I think it's nasa 175K, 120K for cervical cancer per treatment. So, yun po yung take namin dito sa issue na to regarding the mandatory 3%. Siguro po if it's voluntary, then hindi siguro magkakaroon ng ganitong outburst of emotions from us.
Thank you, Mr. Tolentino. Mr. Tolentino, yung nabanggit po kanina, kasi meron din po tayong mga OFWs na, in fact, kung tinignan mo yung data ng PhilHealth, malaki ang naibibigay sa OFWs from PhilHealth relative to contribution. Siguro po sa kaso ninyo, talaga pong, sa inyo, sa nakikita nyo, mas mabuti na po yung healthcare system na pinupuntahan yung bansa dyan po sa UAE. Ang tanong ko po, no, if it's, number one, sabi mo, pag voluntary, okay lang naman.
Opo.
Okay. Siyempre, meron ka ring mga beneficiaries dito sa Pilipinas and you would want them to be covered just in case, kahit hindi ganun kaganda yung coverage ng PhilHealth.
Yeah, I would rather go for an HMO na lang po. I can purchase that naman separately for my families there. Kasi I have clients there na mayroong aging parents and maganda ang coverage ng mga HMO sa Philippines for retirees. Normally, if you are a retiree, ang concern mo is long-term care. And as I have checked din ang options for Filipinos there, meron din pong options for HMOs. Na
Okay, for the other Filipinos na hindi ko kaya yung HMO, would you recommend a basic? Kunyari, OFW ka, pupunta ka sa ibang bansa, may iwan yung pamilya mo dito, would you still recommend basic for them?
Basic.
We amended the law, especially that the rate seems to be so prohibitive, no? Sobrang mahal ang lumalabas na premium payments na hinihingi ng PhilHealth sa ating mga kababayan sa ibang bansa. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman Rimulya. Mr. Tolentino, mabilis lang ho before I go to Congressman Barsaga.
Sige po.
Payag ba kayo na yung ating batas, i-classify natin yung migrant workers as a separate, wag nating ilagay na isama siya doon sa direct contributors, yung mandatory. Pagkatapos POEA, OWA, and the Migrant Workers Associations will be the ones to determine ano talaga yung rate. Walag po nating ilagay sa law, anong percentage. Ang ilagay po natin sa law, gawin siyang hiwalay, distinct. Tapos magkaroon na lang determination, wag nating ipako para may leeway ang agencies at kayo din po na mag-decide on how to go about this.
Well, 3% pa rin and having that low coverage, I don't think it's...
Wala, Mr. Tolentino. Buburay na natin yon. To be determined, magkaroon lang tayong reclassification ng migrant workers as a separate class under the UHC law.
I think that would be better para mas matulungan yung mas lower incomes here.
Oho, pero wag ho natin lagyan ng percentage, ihiwalay lang natin siya, wag natin siyang gawing direct contributor na merong imposition ng percent. Tapos to be determined ng OWA, PhilHealth at yung mga kayo po, yung mga organizations ng OFWs, kayo po ang gagawa on a maybe yearly basis or every 3 years kung ano yung mga rates para wag na rin ipako sa ilalim ng batas.
Yeah, I think that's a good option, I think.
Yes, and if you decide na voluntary, then voluntary yan lalabas sa decision nyo. Yes, Deputy Speaker Fernandez, according to age, you're older. So, Congressman Barsaga first.
Paglilinaw lamang sa ating resource persons, sa ating batas, kahit na kayo nasa abroad, entitled kayo sa PhilHealth benefits. Nawala na?
Yes po. Opo, entitled po kami pero kung yun nga po magiging 3% po siya, yung 100K like what I have given as an example, it's totally not enough.
Ang tanong ko lamang, based on your experience, kung sakasakaling ang mga kababayan natin ay nagkakasakit sa abroad, bagamat sila ay covered ng PhilHealth, sapagkat nasa abroad kayo muna ang magbabayad ng inyong hospitalization expenses. Pati na yung case rate, habulin nyo sa PhilHealth. Kumusta naman experience nyo sa reimbursement sa inyo ng PhilHealth?
Yeah, well, isang feedback from one of my clients sa PhilHealth, medyo matagal ang reimbursement. I'm just not sure about the exact timeline, pero the word that I got is matagal.
Gano'ng katagal?
I'm sorry, hindi ko po masasagot yung specific na date na.
Ang reimbursement ba sa inyong mga relatives dito sa Pilipinas o directly sa inyo where you are employed?
Yun po ay, you mean po yung reimbursement na pupunta sa dito? Or dun po sa bank? I haven't actually, hindi pa po ako nagkaroon ng personal experience na magkaroon ng claim using PhilHealth. Kasi ginagamit ko yung health card ko dito. And hindi ko po natanong dun sa client ko if yung reimbursement na nakuha niya is napunta sa bank account niya sa Philippines or pinadala sa bank account niya dito. So
Normally, ang nakakapag-avail lang ng PhilHealth are your dependents here in the Philippines. Kapag meron naman kayong health card in a foreign country.
Opo, ganun nga po. Kung dito po kami magkakaroon ng claim for our personal use, gagamitin po namin yung health card namin.
Sa PhilHealth naman, kahit na meron bang health card ng ating mga OFW, nagkasakit sila sa abroad, are they still entitled for reimbursement here in the Philippines?
Opo, yun po yung nakalagay dun sa, when I did my research, entitled pa rin naman po makakuha ng claim ang PhilHealth member ng OFW.
That's why, tanong ko PhilHealth. O later on na lamang.
Yes. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Basaga. Deputy Speaker Fernandez.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman. Sa PhilHealth po, ilan po ba yung OFW po natin?
Resource person muna natin po.
I'm sorry, hindi po, kadadating ko lamang po, kaya hindi ko po masyado... Anyway, sige, doon sa resource person natin na si Mr.
Tolentino.
Kanina nakikinig din ako nung pagdating ko dito, parang ang nagiging problema nila sa kanila ay meron doon na talagang hindi kaya na makabayad, saka redundant, no? Saka duplication, no? Kumbaga parang nagbabayad na kayo dyan, tapos hindi nyo naman na-avail yung mga kung mag-e-enroll kayo sa PhilHealth dito sa Pilipinas, hindi nyo naman ma-avail. Pero yun naman ay ma-avail ng ating mga kamag-anak, ano? Yung mga dependents natin. But unfortunately, parang ang hindi applicable sa inyong lahat dyan. No? So ngayon, Mr. Chairman, natatanong ko sa PhilHealth, no? Kasi since na meron tayong programa, no? Lahat ba ng tanong natin sa... Hindi kasi concern din sa kanila to, Mr. Chairman, kung ano yung pwede natin i-apply sa mga OFW. Kasi, okay, sabi natin pwedeng natin apply yung voluntary na pagbabayad ng mga OFW. Kasi meron ako nakitang isang circular, Mr. Tolentino, dito sa PhilHealth. Ito po yung tinatawag na circular number 2017-0011. Ito po yung guidelines for the implementation of point of service. Ano po ba yung point of service na in-implement ng PhilHealth noong 2017? Ang point of service, ito po ay nung hindi pa ina-apply yung universal healthcare, ang ating pong mga mahihirap na mga mamayan, hindi po sila member ng PhilHealth. Ang ginagawa po ng POS o point of service, kapag nagkasakit po yung mga mahihirap nating mga mamayan na hindi member ng PhilHealth, antimano, ginagawa natin silang member ng PhilHealth under the POS guidelines.
Tamano Matsui, Program Area Manager for Health Emergency Information and Risk Assessment, and Dr. Socorro Escalante, Coordinator for Essential Medicines and Health Technologies. We're going to begin the session today, as usual, with a few opening remarks by Dr. Kasai. Please go ahead.
Good morning. We're 7.5 months into COVID-19 pandemic, and sadly, infections and deaths are accelerating in many parts of the world. There are now more than 21.5 million confirmed cases, and over 760,000 people have died. Each one an individual tragedy for their family and community. In our region, with the number of cases reported has been much smaller than other parts of the world. Each country is facing a different situation. And some countries that moved quickly to contain COVID-19 in the early months of the epidemic are now fighting new surges, in some cases larger than their initial outbreaks. I'll ask my colleague, Dr. Tamano Matsui, to provide an update on the key numbers in the region. Tamano, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kasai. COVID-19 for the Western Pacific region. To date, more than 400,000 cases have been reported in the region, and 9,293 have lost their lives to COVID-19, which represent 2.3% of all reported cases. The slide shows the trend in the number of reported cases of COVID-19 for countries and areas in the Western Pacific region from January until now. The vertical axis displays the number of daily cases, and the horizontal axis displays date of report. The colored bar represents the countries reporting those case numbers.
Natin na premium, kung halimbawa, nagkasakit ka ng 2022 at ang increase ng premium noon ay 3.5% na. Pero hindi ka naman nagbabayad taon-taon, hindi ka naman nagbabayad monthly . Kapag nagkasakit lang ikaw at ang pamilya mo, saka ka magbayad ng premium. Is that okay, Mr. Tolentino?
Yeah, I think that's a better option po.
And tingin ko sa PhilHealth naman, kung okay yon kay Mr. Tolentino at sa karamihan ng ating mga OFW, na tingin ko, Mr. Chairman, magiging advantageous dahil nga po hindi po sila compulsory, pero kung yung iba voluntary magbabayad, okay po yun. At yung naman pong mga OFW na talagang hirap na hirap, ipasok po natin sila sa POS. Ito pong inyong dating programa, napakaganda nito. I-apply lang natin sa bagong pamamaraan sa ating mga OFW na alam naman po natin na hirap din po. Mr. Chairman, marami tayong mga kababayan na nirepatriate natin. Pinauwi po natin sila. Mr. Chair, pwede po ba ako magtanong sa PhilHealth o sa kay Tolentino?
No, yes, we will focus on Mr. Tolentino because we have another resource and then we proceed to the minority floor leader.
Mr. Chairman, clarification lang. Clarify ko lang.
Okay.
What's the difference between the premium that a person regularly pays in the Philippines to that of an OFW? Yung rate, tsaka yung wala pa tayong fixed rate program, or everything is dependent on a percentage of salary?
Honorable Rimulya, ang isang malaking difference po niyan, kung empleyado ka dito, 300 ang babayaran mo, 150 sa employer, 150 sa'yo, employee. So FW po, solo nila lahat.
Yes.
So let's say, ano normal rate? Is it 450 a month for each employee, or mayroon ba tayong fixed rate?
For example po, kung ang sweldo mo 20,000, kung dito ka sa Pilipinas, you will be paying 300 sa side mo, 300 sa side ng employee mo. Pagdating po sa OFW, solo nila yung 600. Times 12, that's 7,200 a year. Kaya mabigat din po talaga . And then they have to pay lump sum before they leave. Yun po ang pinopropose dapat nung una. In fact, they're advocating that. Medyo mabigat po talaga.
Well, then we have to amend the law. That's the solution.
I agree with you, Honorable Remulla. Before we proceed, kay Mr. Tolentino po, kung meron pa hong katanungan. Sige ho, kung wala pong munang katanungan, Mr. Tolentino, kung kaya nyo pa ho kami samahan, samahan nyo po kami kung may mga clarifications later on.
Sige po.
Nako, thank you po. At any rate po, Mr. Tolentino, we are not pressuring you. Alam po namin may trabaho kayo. But thank you for all your inputs. Ngayon naman po, let's recognize Mr. Venancio Legaspi from Saudi Arabia. Mr. Legaspi? Mr. Legaspi?
Hello sir, good morning po. Madaling araw dito sa Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Your Honor.
Good morning po at marami pong salamat sa inyo sa pakipagi po dito sa aming pag-uusap. Mr. Legaspi?
Yes po, nami-mute po kasi ako, Your Honor. Thank you so much po sa pagpapaunlak po na makasama po sa pagdinig sa araw na ito. Si Kaveni po ako ng OFW Council of Leaders dito po sa Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Malaking karangalan po na... Hello?
Narinig po namin kayo. Sige
Alright,
po.
maraming salamat po na maibigay po yung hinaing naming mga OFW na nandito po ngayon sa labas ng bansa tungkol nga po dito sa pagdinig ng IRR or nung RA 11223. Thank you, Your Honor. From our side, I would just have this very clear that a statement that PhilHealth is important, but it needs to be correct and it needs to be clean. The principle behind the Universal Healthcare Act of 2019 is novel and laudable. Any well-informed Filipino, including overseas Filipinos, will understand the necessity and significance of having an institutionalized medical security for all Filipinos. Filipino migrant workers, especially those in the Middle East and North Africa region, will eventually go home and would need medical insurance even while working overseas. OFW's membership to PhilHealth entitle them and their families and dependents back home with medical insurance services. This should not preclude us, however, in asserting for a fair and socially correct UHC law. PhilHealth policies and rules crafted with erroneous presumptions needs to be rectified, lest its novel intention will outrightly be lost. Serious policy lapses appearing in the language of the UHC Act, its IRR and PhilHealth enabling issuances are clearly reflective of both legislative, and executive department failure to comprehend the real financial standing and economic vicissitudes in the life of overseas migrant workers in general and land-based OFWs in particular, especially those in the Middle East and North Africa region where overseas are concentrated. PhilHealth recent attempt to implement the UHC Act and surreptitiously place overseas Filipinos under such a onerous bind, while the whole world and overseas migrant workers themselves are suffering from the economic and medical fallout of COVID-19 pandemic is totally unacceptable, deplorable, and inhuman. The UHC Act and its enabling rules and related PhilHealth need to be corrected. One, first is that it imposes iniquitously high premium rate to overseas Filipinos, particularly to land-based migrant workers who are required to shoulder 100% of the insurance premium burden. Why impose such rate to people who most likely will not be able to avail PhilHealth medical services anyway because they are based or we are based overseas? Two, impose a collection mechanism which impinges on land-based OFWs' right to travel and sustain their overseas employment by making it a prerequisite for OOC or Overseas Employment Certificate application. Even if POAA disowned and refused to implement this policy, it remains in the language of the law's IRR, Section 10.2.c. Number three, PhilHealth Advisory Number 2119-0041 imposed a discriminating haste in the premium collection schedule, particularly for land-based migrant worker. Why singled out land-based migrant worker for this discriminating rule? Is there no equal protection under the law? If SSAs can afford to offer a liberal payment scheme for overseas migrant workers, why can't PhilHealth do the same? This was belatedly, of course, amended by PhilHealth Advisory number 2020-037, extending the period of payment to 1 year from the previous 6 months to 6 months. The UHC Act and its IRR should be amended and state this clearly to avoid whimsical legislative, overreach and abuse by PhilHealth. Number 4, PhilHealth failed to factor in and address the phenomenon of distressed overseas migrant workers. While it is true that PhilHealth recently came out with advisory number 2020-037 to address this concern, that advisory has no legal basis to stand on the matter is never mentioned nor covered in the UHC Act and its IRR. Number 5, impose penalties and other punitive mechanism for defaulting direct contributors, that's us, or members, such as land-based migrant workers, are excessive, coercive, and confiscatory in nature. UHC Act is a social legislation which should serve, not hurt, the interests of its member contributors. Its punitive pangs should be directed to third-party manipulators or opportunists and to PhilHealth employees who abuse the fund entrusted unto them. Number 6, trampled upon the rights, interests, and welfare of land-based migrant workers without the benefits of a prior, genuinely democratic, effective, and sufficient consultation process with us. Had there been one, there would have been no need for this position paper that we have. If PhilHealth want to be trusted its procedures and rules, and the UHC Act itself needs to be fair and correct. Mr. Chair, yun po yung mga hinaing namin na kailangan pong matingnan po ng August body ngayon, kagaya po nga ng sinasabi na dapat po ay hindi po ito mandatory, dapat po ay voluntary ito. Yung OAC po dapat ay hindi po ito konektado because it's infringes on your right to travel and to work abroad. Ano ka makakabayad kung wala kang trabaho at hindi ka makakapagtrabaho dahil hindi ka naman nakaalis dahil wala kang OAC. Nandun po yung penalties na compounded pa po. Walang consultation na ginanap po para sa amin. Ang napakasakit po yung nangyayari ngayon, nasaan po yung tiwala naming mga contributors or mga nagbabayad po dahil sa nangyayari ngayon ng mga anomalya o maraming mga hindi pa na aayos na mga investigations ng Commission on Audit, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, ito po yung mga hinaing namin na sana matutukan at magkaroon po ng pagbabago o kaya maisama kung mayroon man pong mga dapat gawin o amindahan sa UHC Act 11223. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong mailahad ang aming mga hinaing dito po sa labas ng bansa. Si Kavene po ito ng OFW Council of Leaders. Balik po sa iyo, Your Honor.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Legazpi. Paglilinaw din po, ito naman pong ating batas ay kaka-aproba pa lang. Kaya nga po nakita namin yung problema at nakita namin na kailangan talagang umakto kaagad. Andito naman po ang inyong kongreso para ayusin kaagad ang batas. At sumasang-ayon po kami, Mr. Legazpi, sa mga nabanggit nyo, mga puna at obserbasyon ukol sa batas na to. Maraming salamat din po and we hope you can stay with us. Samahan nyo po kami sa patuloy nating pagdinig nitong probisyon ng OFW. Itong araw po na to, sa Kongreso, ginawa po namin isang araw na para lang sa probisyon ng OFWs dahil nais nga po namin ayusin ang ating batas at ang mga problema sa Universal Healthcare Law. Ngayon naman po, gusto ko pong kilalanin, kung pwede ho, bigyan natin tig 5 minutes lang itong ating mga guests tapos makapag-discuss na tayo. Si Ms. Rodora Abano ng Center for Migrant Advocacy. Ms. Abano, are you there? Ms. Abano?
Apo.
Okay, please, Ms. Abano, I'll give you 5 minutes to present.
Okay po. Good morning,
Good morning po.
Honorable Congressman and other Congress people. Uh, uh, we have presented this in the joint hearing earlier at the Senate, so we will just reiterate our position. Uh, we believe that the more than 10 million OFWs and other overseas Filipinos being part of the Filipino nation should be included in the country's universal healthcare system.
Ma'am,
Yep,
ma'am, I'm sorry, nakakat po. Nakakat po yung inyong signal. I'm sorry ho.
sorry. Okay na po?
Mukhang okay na naman po. Sige po, please continue ma'am. Salamat po.
Okay, so it is only fair, therefore, that OFWs contribute to the universal health care, which will also benefit them and their families. However, in the light of the particularly difficult situation of the pandemic, we strongly recommend the suspension of collection of PhilHealth premium from OFWs until at least the end of the year. And instead, we call on the review and adjustment of the law and its IRR. While we believe in universal health care, we take exception in charging OFWs high contributions as in support as well to Kaveni, because unlike employed workers in the country, they fully shoulder that entire amount. In the case of seafarers, the manning agencies share part of the employer's contribution. We're also concerned about the current ongoing investigation into PhilHealth because it does not inspire trust nor confidence in the system. I have actually submitted the position paper, so I wouldn't take up all of it.
Yes ma'am.
Yeah. So I just want to add some observations and recommendations. First, in support also of Kaveni is to conduct consultations with our OFWs on these matters that concern them, especially since it's not only offline now that is feasible, but also online platforms. Apart from the issue of contributions, we would like to revisit and clarify the sections of the UHCIRR as published in the PhilHealth website that has also been mentioned by Kaveni. So in particular, the service coverage, the program membership, and wait, and then entitlements and benefits, including availment of PhilHealth benefits. How does this change prior to UHC and now under UHC? Also, the OFWs are being required to submit proof of actual income. And then, with regards to the PhilHealth Board of Directors, uh, how will the 5 slots for sectoral panel members be chosen? Can there be a slot for OFWs? And how can we ensure that women are adequately heard and represented? Also, what are the qualifications and eligibility of the members of the panel? Finally, the population-based health services, how is this translated to on-site direct contributors? Has there been health benefit packages developed particularly for on-site members? And also about women OFWs and their particular needs. Also, similar concern on the portability of benefits in place, whether this is in place under UHC and what are the considerations. Finally, we believe that one big reason for the resistance and even violent reaction of our OFWs to the UHC contribution is the dearth of accurate, clear, and simple information about the UHC and the ineffective way we convey the messages to the public in general and to the OFWs and other overseas Filipinos in particular. In this situation of pandemic, access to accurate information is vital. we hope that the House committee will look into these issues with a sense of urgency. Thank you po.
Marami pong salamat, ma'am, sa inyo pong presentation from the Center for Migrant Advocacy. Bago po ako tumuloy sa next speaker natin, Mr. Legaspi of Saudi Arabia, nandiyan po ba kayo? Mr. Legaspi? I'm sorry, nawala na po pala. Kasi may mga trabaho din po yung, madaling araw pala nung binanggit niya kanina. Anyway, ang huli po nating tagapagsalita, Ms. Susan Ople. Ople Policy Center is here. Ma'am Susan, are you there?
Yes po.
Ma'am Susan, before you start, may tanong lang po ako. Kasi sabi kanina ni Mr. Tolentino, meron na po silang mga medical insurance or Medicare, no, or some sort of insurance, health insurance sa kanilang mga bansa. Lahat po ba ng mga OFWs natin, they are provided with some kind of health insurance?
Yes po, kasi in fact, pagdating nila, minsan chine-check up din sila. May mga laws po yung iba't ibang bansa on the coverage of foreign workers sa kanilang mga health insurance.
Thank you, ma'am. So anyway, ma'am, sige po, if pwede ko kayo mag-present ng inyong position paper regarding dito sa provisions on the OFW under the PhilHealth Law, Universal Healthcare Law. Ma'am
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yung sa amin po, simple lang na points. Unang-una po, dati kasi fixed rate, 2,400. Mas madali po yun kesa sa salary-based. Pero marami rin po ang hindi nakakapag sustain ang kanilang contribution. Unang-una po, wala namang mga PhilHealth offices sa ibang bansa. Pangalawa po, ang hirap na isa sa requirement for reimbursement, kailangan may English translation ng mga medical abstracts, mga medical records para i-present. Kung nasa Saudi Arabia ka po, domestic worker ka, paglabas mo ng ospital, diretso ka uli sa bahay. Wala kang time para ayusin yon. Kung may PhilHealth offices sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, maiintindihan nila. Imbis na yung nandito lang sila and pinasok nila sa IRR, yung mga wala naman sa batas. For example po, yung OEC, wala naman po kayong binanggit sa batas na kailangan requirement ang PhilHealth contribution bago umalis. Hindi pa nakakasweldo, kailangan magbayad na. Wala naman po yun sa batas, pero nandun po yun sa IRR. Pangalawa po na wala sa batas, pero nandun sa IRR, yung coverage ng mga dual citizens. For example po, yung kapatid ko na nasa LA, yung kapatid ko na nasa Geneva, pag nagkasakit po sila doon, sagot lahat ng kanilang company insurance. Pero kung titingnan nyo po yung IRR, covered din sila pati ng mandatory compounded interest. Kung mapunta sila sa Pilipinas, magpapatingin sila, kailangan ng PhilHealth, kailangan retroactive, bayaran nila lahat ng mga hindi nila nahulugan, which is parang it doesn't make sense. No? Yung difference po kasi, and sana maintindihan ng PhilHealth to, and sa consultation sinasabi po namin ito, ang sweldo po dito ng domestic workers, may regional wage boards. Kaya lagi po yan na-update. Ang sweldo po ng OFW, seafarer man yan o land-based, batay po sa kontrata. At minsan, lalo na sa land-based, hindi pa nasusunod yung kontrata. And para sagutin ng isang OFW, yung employer share at yung worker share, masyadong mabigat yun. And hindi namin maintindihan kung bakit naisama siya dun sa yung OFW sa direct contributors ng ibig sabihin voluntary direct contributors na ibig sabihin kaya niyang sagutin both shares. Malinaw naman na lalo na for a domestic worker,
20,000 ang suswelduhin, madalas delayed pa, makiki-share pa ba ang PhilHealth? Madalas ang domestic worker, lalo na sa Kuwait o sa Jordan o sa Oman o sa Lebanon, madalas yan lang yung source ng income ng buong angkan, lalo na sa mga probinsya. Kaya sana maintindihan din ng PhilHealth at mapag-usapan nyo din po sa Congress na kahit po yung mga seafarers ngayon, mahirapan mag-comply. Kasi by 2025 yata o 2024, ang laking porsyento ng kakainin ng sweldo nila mapupunta lang sa PhilHealth. So habang hindi pa naka-roll out yung key components ng Universal Healthcare Act, kumukubra na sa OFW. Bagsak po ang deployment ngayon. They are barely hanging on to their jobs. Sa Saudi Arabia po, implemented na yung 40% wage cut sa mga foreign workers, anuman lahi. So, this is really not the time. Ang urgent request po namin sa Congress, paki-suspend muna po yung IRR. Kasi sabihan lang po sa PhilHealth, habang ina-amend nyo yung batas, lalo na yung section lang po for OFWs and dual citizens. Kasi po parang sword of Damocles po yon na may monthly compounded interest. And may mga nagsasabi na po sa amin sa Opli Center ng mga OFWs, hindi na lang kami uuwi, hindi na lang kami magbabakasyon. Kasi baka mamaya singilin kami, ano pa maiuuwi namin sa pamilya. So, yun lang po, sir. I think it's really problematic. I think they overreach. Pakitingnan lang po how they drafted the IRR. Kasi I don't think it's aligned with the intentions of our legislators. Maraming salamat po.
Ma'am Susan, yun nga po ang balak namin na even sa ngayon, in fact this afternoon, kung kakayanin na po namin gumawa ng isang, yun po ang utos namin ni Speaker Alan Cayetano, na magpasa kaagad ng amendment, ay itulak naman kagad at isulong kasama ang Committee on Health, ang aming Chairman Helen Tan, para agad-agaran po masagot kagad itong problema ng PhilHealth, yung batas at maging yung IRR.
Yes po. Huwag lang po kalimutan din yung mga dual citizens natin. Kasi sa tingin ko po, wala naman po yun sa main body ng batas. And we really appreciate po all these immediate measures that the House is taking. Ang laking ginhawa po yun at this time. Salamat po.
At saka Ma'am Susan, pagka ginawa namin yung TWG, at in fact ngayong hapon, subukan namin gawin yung batas, pinapadraft ko lang po yung kung ano yung pwede naming pagkaisan. Tulungan niyo po kami at wag po kayong umalis dyan sa Zoom, Ma'am Susan.
Oh, sige po. Andito lang po kami. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much. Ma'am Susan Ople, one of our, nakasama ko rin po yan sa trabaho, napakasipag po niyan, one of our advocates, strong advocates for OFWs. Bago ko po ituloy na yung questions natin, I'll proceed to Congressman Benny Abante. If the committee members will allow, kasi yung Thursday, meron pa tayong hearing, gusto ko pong ipatawag na mismo yung mga ospital na may existing violation from 2013 to 2018. Our PhilHealth officials are here, baka pwede hong i-relay ninyo sa inyong mga, at maging sa ating sa Zoom, no? Andyan po yung sa ating legal. Ito po, patawag po natin itong mga ospital na supposedly ang violation nito from 2013 to 2018. Isa lang po ang sinabi kong ospital dito na maraming violation noong 2019. Abra Provincial Hospital, Baguio General Hospital, Benguet General Hospital, Bishop Reagan sa May Mindanao po, Cagayan de Oro Maternity Children's Hospital, Bontoc General Hospital, Butuan Doctors Hospital and College, Corner District Hospital, Luzon Sabala Birthing Home, Luison Sabala Birthing Home, Divine World Hospital, Domingo Casano Hospital, Ito, 2019 ang violation lang naman niya, pero napakarami, 431 cases. Tamparan Medical Foundation, United Doctors Hospital of Kidapawan, University of Perpetual Health Medical Center, Dr. Petrino Sares Memorial Hospital, Paul Jesus Midwife Clinic, Pine City Doctors Hospital, Posha District Hospital, Quezon City Eye Center, SAA Healthcare, St. Louis University of the Sacred Heart, San Pedro Hospital of Davao, St. Teresa Wellness Center, St. Therese Hospital, St. Theodore's Hospital, St. Mary's Hospital, Maternity and Children's Hospital, Iligan City, Lutheran Medical Mission and Rehabilitation Foundation, Mercy Community Hospital, Michael Abutagil Hospital, Misamis University Medical Center, Moorhouse Mission Hospital, Notre Dame de Chartres Hospital, Oras Doctors Hospital, Osami City St. Joseph General Hospital, Pacific Eye Institute, Panopdopan District Hospital, Pathfinder Estate Hospital, Dr. Pablo Torres Sr. Memorial Hospital, Eastern Sun Medical and Diagnostic Center, Fabiola Gabriel Center, Holy Trinity Medical Clinic, Kalinga District Hospital, Leona Lim Memorial Hospital, Lepanto Consolidated Mining Company Hospital, Luis Ora Memorial Hospital. Lahat pong yan ay may mga kaso from 2013 to 2018. Pinakamababa po dyan, 2 kaso. Pero more or less, more than 10 cases. Kung maliligaw po kayo, just check your own prosecution department. Nandiyan po sa listahan niyo yung binasa ko ngayon.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chairman, pwede
Yes.
natin dagdagan? Kung pwede bang i-request din natin sa PhilHealth kung magkano ang PhilHealth payments na binayad nila dito sa mga ospital na itong may kaso for the last 3 years. Pangalawa, gusto ko ring malaman para hindi na kami mag-research kung yung mga ospital na nabanggit ay nabigyan din ng IRM.
Okay, dalawang pong tanong. Siguro ho, kailangan natin yung nature ng kaso. Ibigay nila sa atin kung anong final nila. Pangalawa, magkano ang ibinayad? Tama ba ho? At kung
For
may
the last
RIM.
3 years, every year, dyan sa mga ospital na
Okay.
yan.
If
At
there is
pangatlo,
Oho.
kung sila ay nabigyan din ng IRM.
In addition, Mr. Chair.
Just excuse me, nabasa ko po ba yung Perpetual Succor Cebu? Hindi ko nabanggit. O pakilista po yan, Perpetual Succor Cebu. Honorable Fernandez.
Aside dun sa mga cases na mga hospital na sinabi mo, Mr. Chairman, may mga specific number of cases yan. So, may corresponding din po siyang category. Non-fraudulent saka fraudulent. So, dapat
Fraudulent to, supposedly.
panay fraudulent lamang
Yes.
na ang ating pong i-hear. At doon po sa pinadalang mga dokumento sa atin, Mr. Chair, nabasa ko lamang po na meron ng mga decided cases. Like for example, doon sa binabanggit natin kanina, siguro ibigay rin po sa atin kung ano na yung mga decided cases doon sa mga hospital na yon para malaman po natin kung ano naging action nila.
Honorable Fernandez, kaklaro ko lang ho kasi itong mga binasa ko, pending cases from 2013 to 2018. And these are supposed to be fraudulent cases. Yung mga fraudulent cases po. Kung may hindi ako nabasa, pakisabi po sa kanila. Ngayon, ang tinasabi ni Congressman Deputy Speaker Fernandez, yung mga decided fraudulent cases, siguro kahit 10, bigyan tayong example.
Yes, para lang magkaroon po tayo ng comparison doon sa mga ididinig natin, gusto natin makita yung mga decided cases po nila, kung ano ang naging desisyon nila. Yun lang po.
So sige ha, from the decided cases, 10 lang. Bahala na kayo mag-identify, but we want the biggest cases. Dito naman sa pending fraudulent cases, ay ipakita nyo po sa amin kung ano yung kasong to, magkano binayaran at patuloy ang pagbabayad. So anyway, tutuloy po tayo sa, may I now recognize our minority floor leader, the Honorable Benny Abante. Honorable Abante.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat, sa aking mga kasama sa Kongreso at ating mga source speakers. I also would like to add, before I ask the question, Mr. Chair, na total pinapasabit natin sila ng mga fraudulent cases sa mga hospitals. Kaya hindi po, I think that they should also submit yung mga, for example, like the Dibron dialysis machines supplier na malaki ang utang ng PhilHealth should also be submitted to us in detail. Gayon din po ang maraming mga dialysis centers na marami rin pong utang ang PhilHealth, hindi nababayaran. Naniniwala po ako na yung delay po ng bayad dyan, there's also fraud being committed there. Now, I would like to ask also that we submit to the committee the list of all dialysis centers na meron pong utang ang PhilHealth and the reason why they are not being paid on time, Mr. Chairman.
Minority Floor Leader Abante, ang pakuha po natin is lahat ng pinagkakautangan ng PhilHealth from the dialysis and the hospital.
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
So ordered. Thank you, Minority Abante.
Okay.
Kindly proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Alam niyo, sa totoo lang, Mr. Chair, iniisip ko pong mabuti kahapon pa. Ngayon po nakakita ng government corporation since the time of the Marcos dynasty and since the Napocor times na napakaraming alleged corruption. Wala na po yata akong nakitang any government corporation that has this big amount of corruption being accused of them, except PhilHealth. Mukhang kung hindi po sila equal sa Bureau of Customs as far as the corruption investigation is concerned, baka mas malaki po ito because we're talking about billions. We're not just talking about millions. We're talking about billions here. So gusto ko pong ituloy itong mga questions ko and afterwards I'll be going into the question on the OFWs. First of all, I do not know who will be able to answer this, but based on the Commission on Audit decision dated September 19, 2019, COA has affirmed its notice of disallowance amounting to 56.57 million pesos worth of cash grants and allowances given to officials of the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation in Eastern Visayas. Ang tanong ko po, ano po ba ang ginawa ng PhilHealth dito? Nabawi po ba ang pondo na ito na inaffirm po ng COA? 56.57 million worth of cash grants and allowances given to PhilHealth officials in Eastern Visayas.
Honorable Abante, as agreed yesterday, the officials now are all in. Anyway, I'll ask first kung may makakasagot po dyan. We have someone from legal. Pwede po ninyong sagutin, Attorney Pucalya, Attorney Roger Pucalyan. Attorney Roger Pucalyan is recognized.
Anyway, Mr. Chair, kung walang makakasagot niyan, I just would like to put this on record.
Go ahead, Minority Leader Benny Abante.
Secondly, in a decision dated November 22, 2019, COA also disallowed 37.4 million pesos worth of benefits and allowances by employees of PhilHealth in its Region 4A office. I'd like to find out the status of this case, Mr. Chairman. Thirdly, in two separate decisions dated June 11, 2019, the Commission on Audit again issued a notice of disallowance on the 33 million peso bonuses given to PhilHealth officials and directors in the National Capital Region and Region 12. Again, Mr. Chairman, what is the status of this? Fourthly, tatlong notices of these allowances last year from COA, June, September, November 2019. Ano po ang ginawa ng board dito? Because the board has been writing resolutions. Ano po? Ano ang naging aksyon ng integrity officer ng PhilHealth dito? Wala pa ho ba makakasagot dyan? Do we have any integrity officer of PhilHealth around, Mr. Chairman?
Honorable Minority Leader, as agreed yesterday, we were supposed to just focus on the OFWs. That's why yung finance.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me continue on.
If they can reply to you, if he has information on that. Attorney Pukalyan, are you there? He's still not in Minority Leader. Yes, Attorney Pukalyan.
Good morning, sir.
Minority Leader Abante.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Congressman Abante. As to your query on the disallowance of PhilHealth Regional Office 8, the decision of the Commission on Audit was already elevated to the Supreme Court late last year, no? So it is now pending before the Supreme Court. I would like to stress, as to the other notices of disallowance, we are still verifying with our concerned regional offices, no? But under our existing rules, all decisions of COA on personnel benefits and disallowances are required to be appealed up to the Supreme Court, Your Honors.
Well, it means that if it is appealed up to the Supreme Court, there is propriety to the affirmation of the Commission on Audit. No, PhilHealth benefit payout, benefit payout totaled 568 billion between 2013 and 2018. Can you attest to that, Attorney?
Sir, what benefit payout, sir, as to, are you referring, sir, to the hospital claim? Then,
total benefit payout totaled 568 billion between 2013 and 2018.
Billion, sir.
Billion.
Billion, sir, billion.
Yes, billion. 568 billion between 2013 to 2018. Can you attest to that? Can you tell us about that? If you can tell us na I don't have any personal knowledge, or I don't know about that, or that would be something that,
Sir,
non-existing, tell us.
I have no personal knowledge, sir, no, as to the nature of that expense, no. So we'll just validate that with our fund management sector if that is really existing.
Oh, okay. How about this? That PhilHealth has been paying hospitals a set rate for a particular disease.
Case,
Tama ho ba yun?
we have, sir, a case rate. We are implementing the case rate payment. So what is prescribed by the case rate, yun po yung binabayad ng PhilHealth based on the existing guidelines naman.
Ano yung pinagkaiba ron sa ginagawa nyo nung araw na fee for service scheme to the set rate scheme today?
Opo, sir. Under the old payment scheme of PhilHealth, the fee for service, sir, no? So under that payment mechanism, the benefit claims is paid based on the actual expenses incurred by the patient or by the member. So hindi po siya pari-pariho. Unlike, sir, sa case rate, uniform na po siya.
Totoo yan, attorney. In fact, inamin ng kasamaan nyo kahapon tungkol dito. For example, patients diagnosed with community-acquired pneumonia are covered for 15,000 each, while those who contracted the more severe strain are allotted 32,000 pesos. Now, since 2010, pneumonia has consistently ranked as the most prevalent disease reported by hospitals. So ang tanong dito, so ano ang ginagawang paraan ng PhilHealth para maiwasan yung upcasing, no? To speak of, o yung diskarte ng mga hospital na mag-submit ng claims pneumonia kahit ang pasyente ay mayroong ubo at sipon lamang. Yan ay inyong tinalakay din kahapon yan. Another cause of fraudulent claims.
I think, sir, one of the rules dyan para iwasan na yung mga fraudulent claims on pneumonia, I think the health finance policy sector has issued these guidelines on free medical evaluation prior to payment, sir. So isa po yan sa mga mechanism to ensure na itong mga fraudulent claims, especially sa pneumonia po, ay
medical evaluation is not enough, no? Ito ninyo, itong mga upcasing na result na ito, no? PhilHealth paid hospitals last year 10.94 billion pesos for the treatment of pneumonia, or a 5-fold increase from the 2.04 billion spent in 2010. So, pag binabanggit nyo lang yung medical evaluation, attorney, that's not enough. So, anong ginagawa ng PhilHealth to prevent any fraudulent claims or solve this? Bakit hindi nagdeklara ng outbreak ng pneumonia last year, samantalang napakarami ng claims on pneumonia?
Actually, sir, on that aspect, no, I cannot answer the question. Probably, sir, our health finance policy sector can explain, sir.
Kong Abante? Kong Abante?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, gentle reminder, Kong Abante, you may want to proceed now on the OFW questions.
Okay. I'll do that. Now, Mr. Chairman, itong mga isiningil ng PhilHealth sa ating OFWs ay hindi po naaayon sa batas, kundi naaayon sa IRR. I would like to ask kung sino po ba ang gumawa ng dating IRR na ang sabi ng Pangulo, tanggalin nyo na yan. Because kahit po tinanggal na yung IRR na yan, nakasigil na po sila ng malaki. So I would like to find out, sino po ba, yung po bang Board of Directors ang gumawa ng IRR? Sapagkat, Mr. Chair, hindi man lang inabisuhan ito ang Kongreso tungkol dito. So, Attorney?
Yes, sir. My latest information on that issue, sir, no, there was already a proposal to amend that portion of that IRR, UHC IRR. So I will just verify if that was approved by the PhilHealth board, the amendment of the UHC IRR, because there was already a proposal to delete or amend that portion.
That's more than 2 months ago, attorney. It means that you have not yet in any way put a new IRR on that. Wala pang bagong IRR. Pagkatapos yung i-shelve itong dating IRR ninyo.
Yes, sir. I will just, sir, validate with the corporate secretary on what happened on that a meeting. Then probably, sir, we can submit na lang a report on that to be sure on
what will you submit? A report that you have not yet put up in your IRR, or you're going to submit a proposal on the IRR?
Sir, there is already a proposal on that part of the IRR. I'm not only aware if that was approved by the PhilHealth board because I was not present during the PhilHealth board meeting po So if we may be allowed to submit a report whether the board approved that proposal.
Well, the IRR that you have put up when the law was approved and became a law, which is in itself is not proper. It's not proper. So ang tanong dito, yung bang mga nasingil ninyo na malalaki sa mga OFWs, isasauli ninyo o kakalimutan na lamang yan?
Ayan, sir, we will I think PhilHealth will issue guidelines on that matter, sir.
You mean to tell me that for the last 2 or 3 months, you have not issued any guidelines yet? Ibig sabihin, samantalang yung mga OFWs natin nagbabalikan dito, more than 163,000 of them, and another 200,000 will be coming back. And many of them have paid too much of what you ought to get from the contributors. Ibig sabihin, wala kayong planong isauli yan sa kanila, yung mga inyong mga siningil na matataas, realizing that the President has already ordered you not to pursue the IRR that you have been putting up, so you have been implementing?
Sir, can I refer you to our senior manager on overseas Filipino workers, Ma'am Chona Yap? I think she is also online or participating in this. Yes, ma'am. Can you respond to that?
Please recognized.
Good morning, Congressman Abante, Mr. Chair. Yung sinasabi niyo po na kinokolektahan namin ngayon ang OFWs based on the UHC IRR, hindi pa po, kung meron man kaming nakolekta, siguro yung minimum lang na 2,400 na parehang amount doon sa bago pa mag-UHC law. Kasi nga, dinidiscuss pa nga kung ano ba talagang amount ang babayaran ng OFWs. So, kung meron mang nagbayad ng eksaktong amount, mas mataas sa 2,400, inaano po namin ito, we will automatically adjust based on, let's say if we decide na i-maintain lang ang OFW contribution, let's say at 2,400, at nagbayad sila, let's say ng 7,400 pesos for the whole year, i-adjust namin ito so it will cover yung adjustment for several years of contribution. Ipapakita po namin ito sa OFW na ito po ang mangyayari.
Ito po, I'm sure na naningil kayo based on the IRR that you have promulgated. I am sure that a lot of our OFWs have paid more than 2,400 a year. Now, I do not know if you realize that PhilHealth Medical on Finance ba yun, Chona?
Yes, sir. Yung ano namin, yung Circular 2020-0014, nagsasabi na po doon na pwedeng magbayad ang OFW ng parang initial payment na 2,400. And then, kung...
Kaya nga po ini-scrap ng Pangulo yung IRR ninyo. Kaya nga po sinabi ng Pangulo na singilin nyo lamang tulad ng singil sa Pilipinas sapagkat marami nang umaangal na OFW. Ang tinatanong ko sa inyo, meron ba kayong balak isauli o for example like isama na sa mga future payments itong mga sobrang binayad nila?
Ganun nga po yung sinasabi ko na kung merong sobra sa rate na dapat bayaran ng OFW, i-adjust po ng PhilHealth yon to cover future payments.
And that is now your guidelines. That is now the approved guidelines you have.
Kahit sa noon man, ganun pa rin po yun. Kung merong excess payment, i-adjust po namin yun to future payments.
My goodness, why would you put up a IRR that would let the OFW pay excess of what they should pay? Pagkatapos gagawa ng paraan na gawin ito. Nakakapusta ka naman yan.
Hindi naman po kasi ano lang yun, anong tawag yan na situation, kung may mangyaring ganon. Pero kung ang IRR namin ngayon ay definite na kung ano.
Hindi lang yung kung, marami yan. I would like you to know that I am a bishop and I have a lot of OFWs in the Middle East right now. A lot, thousands of them.
Yes. Opo,
there's a lot of them complaining of a higher fee na wala silang magawa but to pay because they are concerned about their families here. Okay. Kanina po, sinabi ni Susan Ople na meron silang mga insurance dyan. The reason why the OFWs are paying PhilHealth is not for them personally, but so that their families here can also be insured. Am I right, Ms. Yap?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Opo, sir.
That's what I'm saying. Now, meron po sinabi sa akin na kahit doon sa ibang bansa, kapag sila na hospital doon, ito sinabi sa akin yan, that the PhilHealth will pay. Totoo ba yun?
Kung may claim sila po, babayaran po yun sila ng PhilHealth. May reimbursement po sila. At Philippine case rates po.
Kinakailangan mag-claim muna sila. Who is going to claim? The hospitals there? Or
no. It will be the OFW himself. Kasi kung siya man ang na-hospital doon, mag-file siya. He has up to 180 days or 6 months to file. 160 days to file.
Do you already have OFWs that file claim?
Yes, sir. What we do is kung mag-file sila, kung mag-landing yan dito sa amin, sa central office, ipadala namin yun sa kanilang home province or region para sila na ang mag-process at ang aming opisina sa region, nearest their address, will make the reimbursement. Ganon po ang proseso namin.
I'm sure, Ms. Yap, that many of the OFWs don't even know about that because ang alam nila, unang-una, they are insuring their families here in the Philippines so that PhilHealth can take care of them. Ngayon, ito ba, tama ba ito? OFWs are required by PhilHealth to remit Ito yung inyong guidelines eh. Ito yung inyong IRR to remit 3% of their annual salaries to PhilHealth, computed from a monthly pay range of 10,000 to 60,000, up from last year's 2.75% rate. Totoo ba yun?
Sir, that's based on the UHC law. Pareha po ang sinusundan ng
Yung ba nakalagay sa batas? Yung ba nakalagay sa batas? Yung nakalagay sa IRR nyo?
Yan po ang nakalagay sa batas. Yung every year na merong starting with 2019 at 2.75%, 2020 3%. Oo, pareha lang po ang sinusundan ng schedule of payment ng OFWs at ang mga local employees dito sa Pilipinas.
And by 2021, the contribution will be raised to 3.5%. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Will be raised annually until the share hits 5% by 2024.
Yes, sir.
Sa akin, this is higher than the rates of private health insurance companies. Tama ba?
Hindi naman po kasi yung ibang mga pinaka-lowest na binabayaran namin na HMO, merong mga 15,000 a year.
Mr. Chairman, I think that we should also review the UHE law to be able to find out if that would really be, be more compassionate to our OFWs who are considered our modern heroes. So, Mr. Chairman, yun lamang po muna, and I would like to ask that the next time that I will be included again the rounds of interpolators. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Leader Abante, Honorable Barsaga.
Just a follow-up to the line of questioning of our minority floor leader.
Yes, go ahead.
Kay Ms. Chonayap, tungkol dito sa issue ng OFW premium rates, nagkaroon ng official response ang PhilHealth dated April 3, 2020. Alam niyo po ba itong official response na to ng PhilHealth?
Response po or circular?
Response.
Tungkol saan po yan?
Official response to the increased premium rates affecting overseas Filipino workers.
Dated?
April 3, 2020.
April 3, 2020.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm not.
Okay, just to clarify, for your confirmation, nakalagay dito, last year, ang collection sa OFW amounted to 1.02 billion, comprising 7.7% of the premiums from total collections. Masasabi mo ba na tama itong binasa ko?
Opo. Tama po yun.
Tama yan. Okay.
Tama po.
Maraming salamat. Nakalagay din dito, bagamat ang binayad ng OFW sa premium is 1.02 billion, ang kanila namang kinlaim amounted to 1.7 billion.
Opo.
Tama rin yan.
That's correct po. That's correct.
At nakalagay rito, out of that 1.7 billion, 69% of the claims are attributed to their dependents.
Opo. That's correct po.
Yung 31% naman was claimed by overseas OFW.
Opo.
Okay. Ang una kong tanong, ito bang 31% na claim by overseas OFW, tama ba ang aking impresyon na ito ay binayad sa mga OFW na wala sa ating bansa o nandito sa ating bansa?
Yung ano po yan, yung claims po yan, dito po yan sa, halo po yan, Philippines and overseas po yan.
Kaya nga,
yun po yung mga main members, yung sila po yung PhilHealth members na baka na hospital sila abroad or dito mismo sa Pilipinas.
Ma'am, ilan po ang nasa abroad, ilan po ang dito?
Nako, wala po ako dito ngayong disaggregation.
Maraming malaman.
Okay po.
Gaano ang inyong binayad na amount sa mga kababayan nating OFW na nasa ibang bansa last year? At kung pwede, i-specify nyo kung anong bansa ang inyong, kung saan bansa sila nagkaroon ng sakit o hospitalization. May bibigyan nyo ba ang datos?
Pwede po siguro naming maibigay yan, pero hindi ngayon po. Pwede po for later, maybe Thursday.
Po.
Ha? Pwede po? Can we submit?
Congressman Barsaga, sa Thursday po, pwede?
Thursday. Yes. Opo. Sige po.
All right, Thursday.
Okay po.
Pangalawa, ang sinasabi, ang inyong nakolektahan approximately 300,000 OFW for 2019.
Opo. That's correct.
Magkano ba ang premium ng OFW ng 2019?
2,400 po.
2,000
A year.
A year.
Opo.
1.02 billion, mahigit halos 400,000 OFW ang inyong nakolektahan.
Opo, correct po.
Na 1.02 billion ang inyong koleksyon sa OFW.
Opo, correct. Yes po.
Ano po yung yes?
Tama po yung sinasabi mo na 1.02 billion ang nakolekta namin from 320 plus thousand na OFWs in terms of PhilHealth premium contributions.
Gaano karami ang OFW na inyong nakolektahan?
320 plus thousand OFWs lamang.
Mukhang mali ang ating computation. Well, anyway, ang tanong ko, for the current year, magkano na ang inyong nakolekta sa OFW?
Ako, wala akong data sa present ngayon po.
Last year naman, ang koleksyon nyo ay 1.02 billion.
Opo.
Ang tanong ko lamang, saan nyo nakolekta itong 1.02 billion? Sa Pilipinas ba o sa abroad?
Meron pong sa Pilipinas at meron pong sa overseas posts. Pwede po namin ibigay ang data niyan also kasama sa Thursday.
Okay, pwede nyong ibigay.
Opo, maaari po.
Procedure lamang. Regarding collection abroad, ano ba ang procedure natin? Kasi aware kami na meron tayong 114 million na problema, cheque payable sa PhilHealth, hindi na-remit sa PhilHealth, na-remit sa ibang tao. Kaya ano ba ang procedure natin when it comes to the collections from abroad?
Ganito po yun. Dahil walang tao ang PhilHealth naman abroad, yung mga taong nagbabayad sa mga OFWs na nagbabayad sila sa accredited collecting agents natin. At ang kanilang, yung mga collecting agents naman po, meron silang network din of collecting agents sa mga bansa na may mga Pilipino. So ngayon, magbabayad sila yearly, kung 2-4 lang naman, or minsan tinatanggap po ang 6 months.
So,
tapos, ang collecting agents na po, ang mag-remit ng mga pinagbabayad na premiums dito sa PhilHealth main office.
Maibibigay nyo ba rin sa darating na Webes ang mga pangalan ng ating accredited collecting agencies sa abroad?
Opo, maaari po. We have that list po.
Okay. At maibibigay nyo rin sa darating na Webes kung magkano ang inyong koleksyon coming
abroad.
Accredited collecting agents abroad.
Opo.
Ang isang tanong ko lamang, bundle ba ito bang mga collecting agents nyo abroad, Filipino corporation or foreign corporations?
Ang ina-accredit po natin dito sa Pilipinas na merong mga collecting agencies abroad. So kunyari mga 5 yan, I-remit, Bentaha, PBCOM or Land Bank, DBP. Sila po yung accredited natin. Tapos sila naman po, meron silang sariling ina-accredit na mga collecting agents din abroad. Kasi yung ibang mga bangko katulad na may presence abroad like BDO, Metrobank, kumakabit po sila dito sa ating accredited collecting agents. Ngayon, yung ating collecting agents na in-accredit natin dito sa Pilipinas, dito sa main office, they meet certain standards required by our accreditation committee.
Ang tanong ko lamang, just to satisfy our curiosity, meron ba kayong maibibigay na isang pangalan ng isang accredited collecting agency ng PhilHealth in any country outside the Philippines?
Oo. Opo, yung Bentaha at ang I-remit po, they are our bigger collecting agents.
At gusto rin nating malaman yung mga policies and safeguards. Kasi it's possible, yung bang mga collecting agency, sila ang pumupunta sa OFW o OFW ang pumupunta sa kanila?
OFW po ang pumupunta sa kanila dahil may mga opisina po yan sa mga bansa kung saan ang mga OFWs.
So in other words, voluntary din ang pagbabayad o pagpunta
Yes.
ng OFW.
Yes po. Kasi kunyari ma-anniversary na sila, kailangan, depende sa kanila kung i-continue pa nila ang kanilang membership sa PhilHealth. Kasi wala naman pong taga-remind sa kanila doon while anniversary mo na, pwede ka nang magbayad. Sila na lang po, voluntary talaga po ang nangyayari.
Honorable Barsaga.
A very simple question, isa na lamang, Mr. Chairman. Halimbawa sa Saudi Arabia,
o yun,
meron bang listing ang PhilHealth kung sino-sino ang mga OFW sa Saudi Arabia?
Ano po yun?
Natin, marami tayong OFW sa Saudi Arabia.
Correct po.
Lamang, meron bang listahan ang PhilHealth ng OFW sa Saudi Arabia para alam nila kung sino ang kokolektahan ng premium?
Wala po kaming listahan ng OFW sa Saudi Arabia.
What about in other countries?
Wala po.
So in other words, talagang walang data ang PhilHealth sa mga OFW na nasa ibang bansa.
Wala po.
Wala.
Kaya reliant po kami sa POEA kasi sila po yung may direct contact sa mga OFWs.
Would you not consider that it would be a sound and a better policy na ang PhilHealth ay humingi rin ng listahan mula sa government agencies katulad ng POEA para meron naman kayong record?
Pwede naman po yang gawin pero hirap din po ang we can make arrangements with POEA.
Tulungan lamang ng bawat ahensya kasi importante itong koleksyon ng PhilHealth. At kaya naman kami nag-iimbestiga rito ay para malaman natin na yung perang binabayad ng ating mga kababayan sa PhilHealth ay nagagastos ng maayos at tama.
Opo.
Okay?
That's a sound idea po.
Thank you. Deputy Congressman Barsaga, maraming salamat. Yes,
Chairman. Meron lang ako follow-up na question doon sa mga sinabi ni Congressman Barsaga kasi napakaganda nung kanyang mga katanungan, no? Lalo na doon sa mga collector natin ng premium ng ating mga OFW doon sa ibang bansa. Yung po bang nakokolekta nila ay paano nyo po pinadadala? Direct, bank to bank? O meron kayong system na ginamit sa PhilHealth?
Ringo.
Paano nyo po pinadala yung pera?
Mr. Danao, go ahead.
Yung collecting partners po kasi, Mr. Chair, ay third party. Yung remittance centers na nasa abroad. So any collection from the third party remittance centers, ipapadala muna yan doon sa I-remit o doon sa Bintaha, depende kung sino yung accredited na collecting partner namin. Yung pera supposed to be is dapat mai-remit sa amin on the same day transaction. Depende na lang kung sila ay nasa other part of the world na iba yung oras. Ngayon, i-remit yung pera doon sa land bank kasi land bank yata ang aming government depository bank, and then the next day the report kung sino yung nagbayad, yun ang isasubmit sa PhilHealth para ano namin
So kinukuha
i-adjust.
yung mga partners sa ibang bansa mga service providers para sila yung magre-remit ng perang kinolekta natin sa mga OFW patungo doon sa land bank.
Yes
sa
po,
atin.
Opo, sa depository
So anong
bank.
klaseng service provider to? Are these
Sa abroad po kasi, depende po, iba-iba po ang ating mga collecting partners doon. May
Kung
mga,
sino accredited sa abroad?
Opo, remittance centers, minsan may grocery, may shopping center. Depende po kasi sa partner namin kung sino yung kanilang i-accredit na partners din.
Yes, okay.
Kasi
Sa accredited,
dito
yun
po
ang
sa
important.
Pilipinas, ang ina-accredit lang natin is yung limang existing ngayon na accredited na collecting agent. Ngayon, itong 5 na to, sila ang maghahanap ng kanilang collecting partners kung saang parte ng mundo na may Pilipino.
So sila lamang yung binibigyan natin ng karapatan, yung 5 yon, na maghanap ng mga partners nila sa ibang bansa. So ibig sabihin, may posibilidad na mawala yung perang binabayad ng ating mga OFW. In other words.
Pwede, pero po kasi ang may sagutin sa
So kung
atin...
pwede, ano yung ginagawa niyong mekanismo para mapigilan to?
Ganito po, ang agreement namin sa ACAS, ang agreement namin sa ACAS po kasi, kung ano, supposed to be kasi po si remittance centers mag-i-issue siya ng resibo.
Okay, ganito na lang para kasi
Opo, mahaba.
marami pang nakapila magtatanong. Ibigay niyo na lang po sa amin yung 5 accredited na mga gateway natin dito sa Pilipinas o yung provider natin kung saan dito nire-remit yung pera na nanggaling sa ibang bansa. At makita din natin kung ano yung agreement natin sa bawat bansa, no? Kung ano-ano yung mga service provider na kinuha din po natin.
Actually, sir, Mr. Chair, ang maipo-provide lang namin is yung agreement namin with yung nasa Pilipinas. Yung agreement ni ACAS doon sa kanyang tie-ups or na remittance centers, wala po kaming idea doon. Ang may sagutin sa PhilHealth is si ACAS na nasa Pilipinas. For example, si Bintaha International, dahil siyang accredited namin, siya ang may sagutin sa lahat ng remittance centers na naka-tie up sa kanya.
So magkano yung fee na i-charge sa
Ang charging po ay depende sa countries. Ang agreement yan is on top of, for example, kung 2-4 po kasi ang ibabayad ni member, si remittance center magpapatong na lang siya kung magkano yung agreed na service fee doon sa 2-4. Basta ang agreement...
Sa average, magkano ang binabawas? Halimbawa, 2-4 ang binayad. Magkano yung binabawas sa ibinayad ng mga OFW?
Parang sa...
Magkano yung pinatong? Magkano yung pinatong?
Sa Riyadh, kung tama, parang 7 reals every transactions.
Hindi, sa peso na lang muna natin. Sa halimbawa, 2-4 yung binayad. Magkano yung kinakaltas? O yung magkano yung pinatong?
Hindi ko sure, pero parang mga 13 pesos, mga ganun, per transaction.
So bawat isa yun?
Apo, per transaction. Kung 1 year, yung 2-4 po kasi before is a 1-year payment. So dahil 1 transaction yan, yung 2-4 mo, papatungan lang yan ng service fee. Basta ang agreement namin, dapat 2-4 ang papasok na bayad ng members sa PhilHealth.
Mr. Chairman, yun ang kailangan po natin malaman. Para kung ano yung magkano yung pinatong na doon. Sige, Congressman Barsaga, please.
Nais ko lang linawin. Kung 2,400, ako ay nasa Saudi Arabia, magre-remit ako magbabayad ng service charge.
Tama po.
O hindi ba para namang mali yun? Hindi ba kayo pwede magawa ng guidelines na ang dapat ay service charge, kayo na magbayad?
Oo, wag natin i-charge sa mga OFW yon dahil para naman atang unfair yon.
Kasi sa batas, obligasyon nila magbayad. Pagkatapos magbabayad na ako, yung service charge ako pa mag-handle. hindi na ako magbabayad ng 2-4. Anyway, wala naman kayong data.
Meron
Wala
bang
naman kayong record.
Congressman Barsaga, siguro alamin natin sa PhilHealth kung meron kayong policy o circular na nilabas tungkol dun sa pagcha-charge ng sa mga premium ng OFW.
Mr. Tanaw, sabi mo 7 reals ang every transaction?
Actually po, iba-iba po siya, depende. Yung 7 reals na ano ko lang yon, pero parang ang idea po is, kasi medyo matagal na, parang 7.5, parang gano'n. Pero
according to Congressman Remulla, that is almost 97 pesos. 90 pesos yung 7 reals. So kung china-charge natin yun sa OFW, yung 97 pesos, mabigat yun para sa ating mga kababayan.
Anyway, Honorable Barsagan and other members of the committee, yan po ang isa sa tingnan natin na ayusin
Mr.
natin.
Chairman, clarification lang,
Well,
Mr.
hindi
Chairman.
natin sila sinisisi, Mr. Chairman. Pero ang sinasabi ko po
I'll
lamang
just
dito,
go first
Mr.
to
Chair.
the Honorable Remulla. He's not spoken yet. Go ahead, Kong Remulla.
Okay.
Paano nyo napili yung mga remittance center? How did you select the remittance centers or the remittance people?
Mr. Chair, yung remittance centers po nasa abroad ang namili yung accredited collecting agents natin. Ngayon yung collecting agents natin dito, yung yung iRemit, yung 5, sila po ay nag-a-apply sa PhilHealth doon sa ating accreditation committee. Yung accreditation committee, iba-iba po ang members niyan, sila ang nagde-decide depende doon sa requirements kung sino sa mga nag-a-apply ang qualified na maging accredited collecting agents.
So hindi nyo binibid out ang services? Hindi bidding? Nag-a-apply lang sila tapos tinatanggap nyo na lang?
Opo. Hindi po bidding. Nag-a-apply po
Mr. Chair, pwede
sila.
po ba natin malaman kung sino ang head ng accreditation committee ng PhilHealth? Sinong member sa head ng accreditation committee na nagsasabi na ito ang ipapatong natin doon sa mga premium na binabayad ng ating mga OFW? Sino po yan?
Hindi ko po, before po kasi ang head po is
Anyway,
yung
don't worry. In the next hearing, please submit to us the names of the accreditation committee and the head.
Okay, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yung ano lang, Mr. Chairman, last na dito lang.
Yes.
Yung patong na policy nyo, pinapatungan na remittance agent, 2,400 nagiging 2,500 halos. Sino gumawa ng policy na ipasa sa OFW yung remittance cost? Sino gumawa ng policy na yun?
Hindi ko sure, sir, pero ang pagkakaalam ko yung committee. The accreditation committee.
Accreditation committee.
Kasi may nagkakaroon
Walang
sila
circular, kumbaga committee lang ang nag-decide at hindi
Walang
naaprubahan ng board yung pagpapatong natin ng almost 100 pesos sa mga OFW.
Honorable Fernandez, Honorable Barsaga,
hindi ko sure
allowed
I think that's too much, Mr. Chairman.
allowed those lined up and then we go back to the second round. Tatlo lang naman po yung nakalinya natin sa Zoom.
Mr. Chair, gusto po lang natin malaman kung sino yung chairman ng committee ng accreditation. Dahil very crucial to.
We asked for that.
Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
In the next hearing, there's an interjection from the minority leader. Yes.
Yeah, yung sinasabi po ni meron mga nagte-text na sa akin nagme-message sa akin na wala silang natanggap na bayad sa hospitalization ng PhilHealth. So, ni-request ko po, Mr. Chair, na yung mga nag-claim ibigay sa atin listahan ng PhilHealth, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask PhilHealth to give us a list of those that OFWs who made claims to the PhilHealth at magkano ang ibinayad po nila. And also, Mr. Chair, andyan po naman ang OWA administrator. I'd like to ask the partnership of PhilHealth and OWA in helping our OFWs in making claims. Yun lang po.
Thank you, Minority Floor Leader. PhilHealth is directed to please submit to the committee yung binabanggit ni Minority Floor Leader na mga nag-claim na kung sino to at kung nabayaran. Ito nga yung kanina pa binabanggit. Si Miss Yap ba nandyan? Miss Yap? Chona Yap? Are you still there on the OFWs? Miss Chona Yap? Tama ba? Miss Chona Yap? Wala na? Yes, Ms. Chonayap. Alam niyo po, medyo nagkamali ako kanina dahil ang sabi niyo po dun sa data niyo, maraming OFW ang mga nagkaroon ng claims. Mas marami ang claims nila sa contribution. Ang lumalabas, batay dun sa tanong ni Kong Barsaga at sa lahat ng mga nagtanong, yung data nyo pala, mga beneficiaries nila yun, yung 70%. Tama po ba?
Yes, sir. Tama po yun. Mga 30% ay mga yung members mismo.
Kaya nga po, pero yung 30% na members, hindi pa rin ho natin klaro kung sino yung mga yung mga nandito sa Pilipinas, at palagay ko karamihan dyan nandito sa Pilipinas. Medyo Miss Yapa, medyo deceiving po yung inyong datos na isinabit po sa amin.
Kasi katulad po nito, ito po yung nasa aming database. Noong 2019, 58,596 or 17% ng members ang nag-benefit ng PhilHealth. Tapos,
ikaklaro ko sa inyo. Kunyari isang daang OFW ang umalis. Nagbayad sila kunyari ng 100 piso. No? So that is 10,000 pesos na contribution nila. Tapos ang sinasabi nyo, yung 100 OFW na to, nag-claim ng 200,000. So kung titingnan mo yung data, ang interpretation mo is that the 100 OFWs benefited more than their contribution.
Yes po.
Pero ang lumalabas pala sa inyo, yung 100 OFW na merong 500 pamilya, doon nyo i-count yung benefit claims.
Yung total na po yon, nakakabit po ang kanilang dependents sa main members.
Pero ang ibig po sabihin, even if they are not OFWs, they will still have benefit claims because of the Universal Healthcare Law. Dahil po sa batas,
opo.
Claims. Tama
That's
po.
UHC law. Itong 2019, hindi pa po ito UHC. Ang nakalagay po dito, sa OFW contribution na 1.02 billion, ang availment po ng OFW and their dependents is 1.86 billion. So may PhilHealth subsidy po na 844 million.
Ma'am Yap, kahit hindi sila nag-OFW, maging voluntary contributor lang sila, they can avail of that 1.8 billion na sinasabi mo. Tama po ba? Kahit hindi sila nag-OFW at nagbayad sila ng 2.4, they can avail of the same benefits that you are claiming now. Tama po ba?
Yun kasing 2019 data namin, naka-identify kung sino po ang OFW.
Kaya nga po, siyempre, pag nilagay, tatay mo ba OFW? Kung sinong tatay mo, ilalagay OFW. Pag nilagay ang trabaho ng nanay mo, OFW. Ang ginawa ninyo, i-count ninyo sa OFW. Tama po ba?
Yes po.
Ayan nga po.
Naka-disaggregate naman po yung main members sa dependents
Kaya nga po, doon nga po sa mga main member, ganun din dahil 30% lang yan. Doon sa contribution nila, 30%. Kaya nga, gusto ko lang pong ilingaw na gano'n kasi medyo deceiving po yung numero. Ang akala ko naman, yung 100 OFW numalis, sila din yung nakinabang.
Hindi po.
Kaya
hindi po.
Thank you for that.
Hindi.
Anyway, may I recognize the Honorable Aresco? Honorable Aresco is recognized.
Hindi ko makuha. Ayusin mo ito.
Honorable Aresco, we can already hear you. Maganda.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. And cheers. Good morning sa lahat. Especially sa ating Dr. Einstein Fernandez. Maraming salamat. Mr. Chairman, ang dami-dami kong natatanggap sa text na ang galing po ng ginagawa ng grupo, lalong-lalo na yung mga Power Rangers led by you and Congressman Kuya Alvarado. Kudos po sa inyo. Mr. Chairman, ang sama ng panaginip ko kagabi, Mr. Chairman, I was transported to a time na parang Godfather 3. And in the Godfather 3, there was a scenario where everybody was wearing a coat and tie. Pero walang mga tie, naka-white shirt at saka naka-blue shirt. And they were surrounded with a lot of women serving them. Mr. Chairman, it appears in my dream na there was a capo el tutti. A capo el tutti that lasted for so many decades, and he had these three mafias in the private sector and in a civil service commission. And because of that, Mr. Chairman, sa panaginip ko may mga whistleblower. Kaya dumating ang Power Rangers ng House. And Mr. Chairman, because of the ongoing discussions, I move, Mr. Chairman, that the committee write the Department of Justice na ma-hold order yung mga opisyal na yan na nasa mafia sa panaginip ko po, na in charge of operations, in charge of auctioning, and giving quotas to the various regions, in charge of the IT, particularly the legal, because according to your committee, some 3,000 cases or issues were not acted upon in the Civil Service Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Aresco. The motion is for the DOJ to study the imposition of a whole departure order on all officers from the regional to the executive committee of the PhilHealth. Is that correct, Honorable Aresco?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a whole departure order. Kasi Mr. Chairman, pagdating ng Power Rangers, sa panaginip ko, nagtakbuhan lahat. Nagtakbuhan sa ospital at saka nagtakbuhan kung saan-saan. At saka yun iba, nag-resign pa sa mafia. Ewan ko kung ano sa sitwasyon na ito, baka magtakbuhan na rin sa abroad yung mga yan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Haresco. Okay, the motion is to direct the DOJ to study the imposition of a whole departure order on all regional and executive committee officers of the PhilHealth. There's a motion.
So wala pa po siyang, kumbaga hindi pa po natin sila in-hold. Study pa lang, Mr. Chairman. So in that case, kung ganun po yung kanyang motion, I second the motion.
Second,
Mr. Chairman, I think that we should proceed with caution on this matter. Kung wala pa hong kasong fina-file kasi, hindi yata hindi appropriate, tsaka it might just unduly alarm people who may not be, after all, guilty of any offense. So let's proceed with caution on this matter, Mr. Chairman, until we have proof or that we have reason to believe that there is really fraud in the actions of the officers. And let it not be a blanket order that we want to do only for those that where we suspect there to be fraud, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Remulla, the motion is to study. Maybe we can amend it to seek the advice on the DOJ on and guidance on the imposition of a whole departure order.
Then we should seek the advice of the DOJ before anything, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think there is an objection from the proponent, the Honorable Aresco. So there is a motion duly seconded to seek guidance from the Department of Justice on the imposition of the whole departure order on the officers of PhilHealth from the regional to the executive committee level. There being no objection?
No objection, but just a comment.
Yes.
Wala naman nagbibiyahe ngayon.
We are
I'm just
seeking
kidding,
guidance.
my friend.
We are seeking guidance at any rate. So there's no objection. The motion is carried. Thank you, Honorable Aresco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat po. The COMSEC is directed to issue a letter to Department of Justice pertinent to the motion as moved or as presented by the Honorable Aresco. The next interpellator is the Honorable B.H. Herrera. D. Congresswoman D is recognized. Ang susunod po ay ang kinatawan, Congressman Gaite. Ferdinand Gaite is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Chair, at sa lahat ng ating mga kasama sa Kongreso at ating distinguished guests sa tanghaling ito. Una sa lahat, gusto ko lang banggitin na ang Bayan Muna at Makabayan Bloc ay nag-file na ng House Resolution 0827 para nga imbestigahan ang naganap na pagpapatupad ng UHC law at yung impact nito sa ating mga OFWs. Pangunahin na nilalaman nito ay ang panawagan, bunga na nga rin ng nabanggit na ng ating mga OFW representatives kanina, ang kanilang pagtutol. Una, dun sa mandatory contribution sa PhilHealth dahil nabanggit na yung mga dahilan, yung meron covered na sila ng ibang health insurance coverage sa kanilang mga bansang pinagtatrabahuhan o kaya redundant na ito. At obviously, dagdag na pasanin ito para sa kanila, lalo na sa panahon ng pandemya na sabi nga nila, many of them are barely hanging to their jobs as of now. Nilalaman rin nito ang pag-review dun sa sinasabing increases, no? Na malaking pabigat at batay nga sa computation namin, aabot ng mahigit 50,000 ang maximum na pwedeng ikaltas batay sa sahod ng mga manggagawa sa ibayong dagat. At ang isang peculiarity nga sa ating mga OFWs, bagamat sila ay sinama as a direct member, wala silang employer in a real sense. Kung kaya't mas madalas kaysa hindi, shoulder nila both sa employee and employer's contribution. Kung kaya't panawagan namin sa minimum ay suspende, ngunit dapat talaga review mismo yung UHC law. Kami ay marami ring obserbasyon na yung UHC law ay hindi tumutugon sa pangkalusugang pangangailangan ng mamamayan. Ito ay pabigat at naniniwala kami na mas mainam na proseso na kung saan ang serbisyong pangkalusugan ay libre at hindi na kailangan dilaan pa sa isang PhilHealth tulad ng sa sistema ang ginagamit natin ngayon. Ngayon, partikular sa usapin ng ating mga OFWs, kung sino mang kinatawan sa PhilHealth o ibang ahensya, ang pwede magpaliwanag. Narinig ko yung suliranin hindi sa koleksyon mula sa mga OFWs. Pwede ko bang matanong, kailan ho ba nagsimulang malipat o simulang kolektahan ng PhilHealth ang mga OFWs? Kung sino man ang kinatawan ng PhilHealth na pwede makasagot, Mr. Chair, sa ating mga kagalang-galang ng bisita.
Mr. Danao, would you like to reply?
Yung OFW po ay ito po yung programa po ng PhilHealth sa OFW ay ito yung dating OWA Medicare na na-transfer sa PhilHealth noong 2005. So starting 2005, nag-start na pong mangolekta ang PhilHealth para sa health insurance ng OFW.
Salamat po, Mr. Chair. Ano yung naging pamantayan sa ano yung basis sa batas o order sa paglipat sa sa pagkokolekta sa mga OFWs doon sa naunang implementation bago nalipat sa PhilHealth?
Mr. Chair, nailipat ang OWA Medicare sa PhilHealth dahil sa National Health Insurance Program. Yung 1995, yung Republic Act 7875 na sinasabi na ang lahat ng program, health insurance na programas para sa members ay ilipat na sa PhilHealth. Ngayon, yung pag-transfer from OWA to PhilHealth ito ay nangyari dahil sa Executive Order 182 na napirmahan para sa aktual na transfer ng OWA Medicare to PhilHealth. Pero bago po matransfer ang OWA Medicare sa PhilHealth, ang OFW po ay nagbabayad na rin naman sila sa OWA ng kanilang health insurance. So yung health insurance na binabayaran nila sa OWA before, ipinagpatuloy lang nila yon nung matransfer na sila sa PhilHealth.
Okay. Maraming salamat po. Batay nga sa nakuha kong datos, ang unang pangungulekta para sa yung unang pangungulekta ng OWA para sa OWA Medicare ay panahon pa noong 1994 sa pamamagitan ng Executive Order 195 na nilinaw na ang OWA at mga ahensya na kabahagi nito kasama ang Department of Labor and Employment, ang DFA, ay magpa-facilitate ng koleksyon para dito sa programa ng Medicare, ang tawag nila, OWA Medicare, na para sa mga empleyado. Pero tama po kayo, noong 2003, nilipat na ito sa PhilHealth. Pwede ho ba matanong, ano po ang nangyari? Ano yung mekanismo ng paglipat ng services na dati tangan ng OWA at nilipat ito sa PhilHealth? Una, magkano ba yung kabuang amount na nailipat o na-transfer from OWA to PhilHealth? Ano nangyari sa personnel nito? Paano ito pinatakbo ng PhilHealth? Dahil kanina, binabanggit ng isang kinatawan natin sa PhilHealth na problema sila sa koleksyon. And as a matter of fact, nabanggit na gumagamit ng mga private collecting agencies para dito. Pwede bang maipaliwanag paano ba yung naging procedure ng paglipat ng OWA Medicare para sa mga OFWs palipat ng PhilHealth?
Mr. Chair, ang pagkakaalam ko po kasi dahil na-implement na ang Republic Act 7875, ang mga existing na Medicare program ng gobyerno ay ipinasok na lahat sa PhilHealth. Kasama dito yung SSS Medicare, GSIS Medicare at saka yung OWA Medicare. Yung OWA Medicare, yun po yung late na na-transfer sa PhilHealth noong 2005. Ang basis po natin dito is yung Republic Act 7875 and then yung Executive 182 na binago, naging 187 po yata o 192. And then nag-create po ng committee na para pag-aralan o pag-usapan paano ang actual na transfer ng OWA Medicare sa PhilHealth. Ngayon, ayon dun po sa napagkasunduan ng committee na binubuo ng officers from PhilHealth, officers from OWA, na part ng agreement doon ay matatransfer ang management ng OWA Medicare sa PhilHealth effective March 1, 1995. Kasamang matatransfer ang lahat ng empleyado na gustong lumipat na cover ng OWA Medicare. And then pagdating naman po sa pondo, ang napagkasunduan po ayon sa aking pagkakaalala, ang inilipat lang po sa PhilHealth, hindi ko alam kung magkano yung eksaktong budget, ay yung para lang po sa 1 year na operation ng programa na ilipat sa PhilHealth. So ibig sabihin, kung magkano man po yung amount na napag-usapan nila, na estimate nila na nagagastusin para sa 1-year operation ng bagong lipat na programa, yun lamang po ang inilipat ng OWA, nung OWA Medicare sa PhilHealth. After 1 year, bahala na po si PhilHealth doon sa pagpapatakbo doon sa bagong programa at kasama po din sa agreement kung magkano po ang babayaran ni PhilHealth doon sa mga previous claims na natanggap na ng OWA pero hindi pa napaprocess, ipaprocess ni PhilHealth and then babayaran ni OWA. After na mabayaran lahat yon, pera na ni PhilHealth, kung magkano man yung nakolekta na ni PhilHealth doon sa member na na-transfer sa amin, yun na ang umpisahan naming budget sa pagpapatakbo ng bagong programa.
Okay, salamat po sa kasagutan. Tanong lang po, nung prior dito sa UHC law, mandatory na rin ba ang contribution ng mandatory lang ba ang contribution ng OFWs?
Yes po, mandatory na po sa lahat ng members.
Okay.
Hindi lamang po sa OFW, sa lahat po ng members. Part din po pala ng agreement dahil bago matransfer sa OWA, ang OWA Medicare sa PhilHealth, nangungulekta ang OWA sa kanilang mga opisina sa abroad para sa kontribusyon ng OWA Medicare program, OWA Medicare, at nangungulekta rin po ang POAA sa kanila. So, yung umaalis na bagong OFW, pag nagbayad, ay pag-aalis, nagbabayad sila through POAA. Ngayon, nung malipat sa sa PhilHealth ang OWA Medicare, inadapt namin yung ganong agreement. Nag-sign kami ng agreement with OWA and POAA para sa iisang resibo ang gagamitin ng aming opisina dahil ito ang practice bago matransfer ang OWA Medicare. So meaning, pag nag-transact ang OFW sa POAA, kasama sa babayaran niya ang OWA payment, PhilHealth at yung POAA processing fee. So nagpumirma po kami ng agreement, it's a tripartite agreement between PhilHealth, POAA and OWA na isang resibo lang ang gagamitin namin sa collection para sa OFW during that time.
So, Mr. Chair, ano po nangyari doon? Natigil ba yon? Bakit ngayon gumagamit kayo ng private collection agency? Mr. Chair.
Congressman Gaite, can you repeat your query, please?
Ano nangyari doon sa sistema na yon na dating nangongolekta? Ang nangongolekta para sa PhilHealth ay ang OWA POAA. Ano nangyari doon sa sistema na yon? Kasi ang ating mga ibang kinatawan ay nagtatanong na nga, bakit paano yung sistema ng pagkuha ng collecting agencies at iba pa. Anong nangyari? Ano naging problema doon sa collection na mismo ang ating mga kawani, manggagawa, opisyal ng OWA, POAA, ng Polo siguro, ay dating nangongolekta for PhilHealth. Anong nangyari doon?
PhilHealth, you can answer.
Hindi ko matandaan yung sakto. I think August 9, 2015, pinadalhan kami ng memo ng POAA. Although may mga previous usapan na may mga ayaw yata, parang may issue na hindi nakakaalis ang OFW kung hindi binabayaran yung PhilHealth. So parang ang term is naho-hostage yung OFW kung hindi babayaran yung PhilHealth, hindi sila makakaalis. So ngayon parang nag-notice si POAA sa amin na because of some issues na nire-raise ng mga OFW, temporarily hindi na kami isasama doon sa collection system nila na iisang resibo ang gagamitin. So from that time, hiwalay ng nangongolekta ang PhilHealth, ang POAA at yung OWA, hindi na siya iisang resibo. I think that time kasama na rin pala yung pag-ibig.
Okay, salamat po. Kaya po tinatanong ito dahil dati may sistema na ang nangongolekta nga ay yung mga ahensya na may presence mismo doon sa mga work sites, sa mga host countries. At dahil nabanggit nung isa nating representative sa PhilHealth na in the absence of collecting PhilHealth organic officials or employees at the work sites, nagkakaproblema sa koleksyon. Kung kaya't apparently gumagastos pa ang masakit niyan, nabanggit na nga, mismo yung OFW pa, sa kanya ipinapasan yung gastusin para lamang marimit yung kanyang kontribusyon sa PhilHealth. Kung kayo'y tatanungin, tama ba ito na sistema na pasanin na nga yung collection contribution nila, pasanin pa nila yung remittance fees na dati naman ay walang gastos pero idinadaan sa ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan na may presence doon sa work sites. Mr. Chair.
Actually, Mr. Chair, yun nga yung lagi naming sinasabi sa ating mga partner agency na ang nangyayari imbis na papasulong tayo dahil dapat one government approach ang gagamitin natin doon sa pag-implement ng ating mga programa, lalo na kung ito ay para sa mga OFW. Ang nangyari tuloy, paatras ang nangyari dahil nagkanya-kanya kami ng pag-implement nung batas. So ang nangyayari, although mandatory sa batas na dapat silang magbayad or obligasyon na magbayad ng kanilang kontribusyon sa National Health Insurance Program, ang nangyayari po, nagiging optional kasi sa ngayon po, wala po kaming mekanismo para mahabol sila abroad, para po puntahan sila isa-isa sa abroad. Ang nangyayari po sa payments sa abroad, mandatory sila sa unang taon ng kanilang pag-alis kasi una naisasama sila sa requirement ni POAA or minsan si agency, si recruitment agency, napapakiusapan nila na kailangan bayaran yung initial year. Ang nagiging issue po natin dito, Mr. Chairman, after 1 year na nakaalis na po siya sa Pilipinas at nag-expire na yung kanyang initial 1 year na binayaran, nagiging optional na po ang coverage niya. Sa batas po natin, mandatory siya, pero pag siya po'y nasa abroad na dahil wala namang kaming paraan para mahabol sila ngayon, optional na lang kung gusto nilang magbayad, nagbabayad po sila. Pero wala po kaming paraan para ipilitin sila na ipagpatuloy yung pagbabayad. So tayo po ay nakikipag-usap. May mga ginagawa po tayong paraan sa mga na pumupunta po tayo sa mga countries, nakikipag-usap po tayo sa mga embassy na tulungan tayo na i-organize itong mga OFW organization para magkaroon po ng chance si PhilHealth na ma-explain po sa kanila ano po ang programa, ano po ang National Health Insurance Program at ano po ang may tutulong nito sa ating members. So sa ngayon po, yan po ang ginagawa natin. So pero yung pagkolekta po, nagiging optional siya pag nasa labas na po ng Pilipinas ang OFW.
Salamat po sa kasagutan. Sinasabi nyo na may malaki kayong amount na hindi nakokolekta. Pero batay sa records ng inyong annual report, mula nung nilipat ang pondo ng PhilHealth, ng OA Medicare sa PhilHealth, mula 43.6 million noong 2003, bagamat hindi kumpleto sa inyong mga annual reports, may mga ilang taon na hindi pinipresent yung total collections from OFWs. Yung pinakahuling nakita kong data noong 2017, umabot ng 1.6 billion. 1,685,000,000.3 ang inabot ng collection nyo. So, lumalaki, no? Lumalaki. Meron ba kayong record as of 2019? Ano ang latest collections nyo? Narinig ko isang figure, 1.02 billion. Tama ba yun?
Tama po, Mr. Chair, 1.021 1 billion 0.21 million ang collection. Gusto ko lang po i-clarify, Mr. Chair, kung yung historical po na pag-increase ng contribution ni PhilHealth is dahil nagtataas din po tayo ng premium. Nung matransfer po ang OA Medicare sa PhilHealth, that time po ang premium is 900 pesos per year. So parang 75 pesos per month ang binabayaran. But because of tumataas po ang gastusin sa pagpapagamot at pag-cover, may mga increase po ng premium na nangyari in between from 2005 to 2000, yun nga po ngayon 2020. So kaya po kung mapapansin nyo sa historical chart namin, may mga spike na biglang lumalaki yung contribution, pero lumiliit naman o kumukunti naman yung nagbabayad. So malaki ang collection pero kunti na siya ang nagbabayad dahil nag-a-adjust na rin po yung contribution natin na sinisingil kasi tumataas na rin po yung gastusin doon po sa pag-cover natin sa members at sa kanyang dependents.
Okay, salamat po sa mga kasagutan. Nagkaroon ng pagkakataon na makausap namin ang mga OFWs sa mga Zoom conferences nito mga nakaraan. At nung simulan nilabas yung circular ng PhilHealth regarding the implementation of the UHC law in reference to OFWs, talagang maraming tumutol. Nagkaroon nga ng petition ang mga OFWs at ang nagresulta na nga, mismo si Pangulong Duterte ay nagsabing pansamantalang isususpinde ang implementasyon sa OFWs. Bagamat ang panawagan nila ay hindi suspension at ang panawagan nila ay pagpapatigil sapagkat tulad na nabanggit ng ating mga OFW representatives kanina, hindi nila nakikitang dapat mandatory sa pwede siguro voluntary para dun sa mga gustong makover ng PhilHealth. As a matter of fact, kayo nagsabi na by law it's mandatory but in actuality siya ay voluntary dahil walang mekanismo ang PhilHealth ngayon na dati meron para makolektahan yung ating mga OFWs who want to be covered under the PhilHealth system. Kaya nakikita ng maraming OFWs na ito ay unnecessary burden na kanina ang dami palang kinukolekta. Kasama na yung OWA contribution, may pag-ibig pa pala, at iba pa. So ang daming state exactions. Ang kawawa nating OFWs, na paulit-ulit nating sinasabing mga bayani, mga bagong bayani, ay pumapasan na napakaraming state exactions na lalo nagpapahirap sa kanila. Kung kaya talagang nananawagan kami sa committee ito na sana bagamat itong final namin House Resolution ay nasa komite ng Committee on Health at may banggit na ang ating kagalang-galang na chair na magpa-file na rin ng panukalang batas para amendahan ang UHC law. Talagang mariin na panawagan ang ating mga manggagawa sa ibayong dagat na itigil ang mandatory contributions, ang pagtaas ng kontribusyon at dapat sa mga iba pa panawagan na talagang dapat aralin at irebisa ang UHC law. So yan lang po ang aking interpellation. Maraming salamat Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat sa ating mga panauhin.
Thank you so much, Honorable Gaite. Before we proceed to the first, let me call on the COMSEC to recognize the other members in Zoom.
Yes, Your Honor.
Attorney Francis, go ahead.
We would like to acknowledge the presence via Zoom of the Honorable Padiernos and the Honorable Nagano.
Including Congresswoman Kulyamat and Congressman Yap. Okay, quickly, Mr. Tolentino, you would like to interject something? May gusto nyo po kayong input? Go ahead.
Yes po, Mr. Chair. So in regard po dun sa remittance, there's actually an app na we are using here na libre po yung padala. It's called Denari Cash and ito po ay Filipino-owned based in Dubai. So we are using this app para po magbayad ng SSS, pag-ibig and other investments or expenses po sa Philippines. In-tie-up na rin po sila sa GCash. So I think it's a good way para makatipid din ng mga OF in terms of remittance. Kasi ang padala po dito, if you are going to use a remittance center, is nasa 400 or 300 to 400 pesos po ang padala. So,
Mr. Tolentino,
yes po.
Mr. Tolentino, yung bang sinasabi mong libreng padala, anong lugar ka na andun ngayon?
Nandito po ako sa Dubai.
Ilang provider ganyan na may libreng padala dyan sa Dubai?
Konti lang po eh. Ito pong minimension ko po na app, which is yung Denari Cash, it is a Filipino-owned startup company na tinutulungan na po yung mga OFW dito sa Middle East.
So walang binabayad kahit piso? Kung halimbawa, dyan pinadala yung PhilHealth contribution ng ating mga kababayang OFW, wala silang sisingilin kahit 5?
Yung una pong padala every month, maximum is 1,000 dirhams, is totally free po. Kasi po, it's yung technology nila is blockchain and it is easy to track. Kaya yung kanina po, good thing I stayed in this meeting kasi nalaman ko na it is an issue, pati po yung tracking. Dito po sa Dubai, advanced na po kasi talaga ang technology and marami pong mga companies, marami po ngayon ang gumagamit ng remittance app. And when you talk about blockchain, it's easy to track. Kaya,
in other words, safe yan. Safe ba yan? Or, kasi kung ganyan ang sitwasyon at pwede yung libreng padala, we will be encouraging our committee ng accreditation na to consider itong mga ganitong gateway. Para na sa ganon ay makabawas po yung ating pong mga kababayan. Kasi nga kanina, Mr. Chairman, nakakagulat din yung mga nagte-text dun sa Mr. Chairman eh. Meron daw sa Singapore 175 pesos ang charge sa kanila. Sa UAE 20 dirham, sa Saudi 16 rial, sa Dubai 25 AED, sa Hong Kong $20, sa Taiwan 300 NT. Sa KSA 10 rial. So iba-iba yung PhilHealth, iba-iba yung mga charging sa nila sa service provider sa abroad. Eh nakakaawa naman yung mga kababayan natin sa abroad na pag siningil sila dahil gusto lang nila na mapadala na kanilang premium sa Pilipinas, eh wala sila. Kumbaga, kailangan bayaran na nila to. Eh hindi naman po ata tama to. So, itong libreng padala na sinasabi ni Mr. Tolentino ay isang magandang example na siguro ay dapat tignan ng PhilHealth. Otherwise, kapag hindi natin kinonsider yung mga ganitong klase ng provider, mag-iisip kami ng hindi maganda sa accreditation ninyo. Bakit tayo kukuha ng may libre pala? Eh bakit tayo may kukuha ng may bayad? Ay bakit tayo kukuha ng may bayad? Eh di pala na may libre. Yun po ang aking pinapoint out dito, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Fernandez. Thank you, Mr. Tolentino. Bilang pagtatapos, meron po tayo dito. Can you please flash on the screen yung ating itong proposed amendment? Paliwanag ko lang ng madalian. Alam nyo, itong ginagawa ng ating komite in aid of legislation. Ang importante po dito sa atin, higit sa lahat, ay magawa natin ng tamang batas para sa ating mga kababayan. At sa marami pong pagkakataon, dito po sa usapin ng PhilHealth, isa pong napakagandang tulong sa ating mga OFW, itong maayos natin kaagad ang ating batas. Ma-amyendahan natin na hindi pa naman po ito na-implement, gusto ko lang pong iklaro, hindi pa ito na isasagawa, ay ma-amyendahan natin kaagad upang wag na mapahirapan ang ating OFW, wag na sila magkaroon ng kabigatan dito po sa nararanasan nila sa gitna nitong pandemya at sa darating na panahon. Kahit na wala ng pandemya, napakabigat nung itinalaga ng batas. Yun na pong next slide natin. If you can just focus on the particular provision, sige po, yung next page, yan. Paki-focus lang po. Okay, alam po natin na ang ating OFWs, nagbabayad po sila ng employer side at employee side. Yan po'y napakabigat para sa kanila. Kung normal na empleyado ka sa Pilipinas, kung 2,400 ka in the 1 year, pagpalagay po natin 2,400, yan po'y binabayaran ng employer at ng employee hati kayo. Pangalawa, sa pag-alis po ng ating mga OFWs, ito po yung nangiging sitwasyon natin, ay pinagbabayad po sila agad. Ngayon sa ilalim din po ng batas kasi, ang nakalagay dyan, direct contributors tsaka indirect contributors. Ang direct po natin yung may mga trabaho, actually. Yung indirect, yan yung mga indigents, yung ating pong mga hindi kaya magbayad. Kaya talaga pong na-classify sila sa direct contributors. So simply ho, yung ginawa nating amenda dito sa batas, and I'd like to call on the attention of the Honorable Barsaga, the Honorable Deputy Speaker Fernandez, at lahat po ng mga Congress colleagues natin, lahat ng mga miyembro ng komite. Ito lang po yung nakalagay dyan. Provided that in the case of Filipino migrant workers, considering their peculiar employment circumstances, as compared to other direct contributors, the PhilHealth, in coordination with OWA, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, and other concerned agencies and private entities, shall issue a separate circular regarding premium contributions for both land-based and sea-based Filipino migrant workers that will be responsive to their work but shall also ensure the best medical coverage. Ang amendment po na ito, hindi naman po pag-approve kagad ng Kongreso. Matapos po dito, pupunta po yan sa ating Committee on Health, chaired by our Congresswoman Helen Tan. At ito rin po, syempre ho, alinsunod sa direksyon ng ating Speaker Alan Cayetano, naniniwala pa naman din ako marami pang amendments na mangyayari sa Universal Healthcare Law. Pero ang gusto po ni Speaker Alan, kaagad-agad, bigyan nating pansin ang ating OFWs. So if I may ask si Ms. Ople, are you there? Okay po ba itong ganitong amendment? Ma'am Toots Ople?
Clarify ko lang po, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Ang ibig sabihin po niyan, ang ibig sabihin po ba niyan ay bahala muna yung PhilHealth, DOLE, and the stakeholders to agree kung ano yung dapat ilagay sa bagong circular. So, hindi na iiral yung kung ano yung nasa batas ngayon.
Yes, ma'am. Hindi na po iiral yung nasa batas kasi sila gagawa ng separate circular on the particular contribution. Pero hindi rin po kami, ma'am, naglagay kung ano talaga yung detailed contribution because we would like, for example, the OFW participants, sila na rin po mag-indicate. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes. Gusto ko lang sana kung pwede ilagay na gamitin yung diplomatic post natin for consultations with the OFWs. Kasi yan po yung laging missing link. Kinakausap nila yung mga nandito na usually mga ex-OFWs o kaya yung mga NGOs. But sana dahil uso naman ngayon yung Zoom, pwede na talaga na directly from the OFW sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. And that should be mandatory as part of the consultations. And sana rin po na merong... Yes, sir.
The exact amendment is OWA, PhilHealth, and the diplomatic offices.
And stakeholders through the diplomatic post.
Okay, so stakeholders through the diplomatic post. Noted po.
And sana po and civil society and relevant civil society groups here and abroad.
Accredited civil society groups po natin.
O relevant po yung
Noted po, ma'am. Relevant civil society groups.
Ang question ko na lang po, once mag-agree yung stakeholders with PhilHealth, babalik po ba yun sa Congress for approval din ng Congress? Or kung ano yung mapa-agreehan? Kasi minsan may balance of forces din po yan. Alam naman po natin yan. Minsan nakailang consultation, magsasalita kami. In the end, ang gagawin din ng PhilHealth yung gusto nila eh. So paano po para may hindi naman masyadong yung essence ng gusto niyo mangyari hindi ma-derail?
Yes, ma'am. Well, dito po sa atin, ang dalawang key agencies is PhilHealth and OWA. So wala pong power technically, binibigay ng Kongreso yung poder sa kanila to determine the rightful charges. The rightful
But kung pwede po sana na I think DFA should also be included kasi sila yung may mga may mga post po tayo na walang labor attaché, walang OWA, pero may embassy. So
Tama.
para lang comprehensive.
Sige ho. So DFA, OWA, and the DFA, OWA, and PhilHealth. Tapos yung binanggit nyo po, siguro through these agencies, yung relevant NGOs will be determined.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you, ma'am. Deputy Speaker.
Clarification lamang para medyo maliwanag po yung ating patutunguhan. Ano? So, magkikreate tayo ng isang parang technical working group, DFA, PhilHealth, OWA, saka yung sinasabi ni Ma'am Susan Ople na stakeholders ng mga diplomatic offices, saka yung relevant na civil society, no? Na concern dito, no? At pagkatapos po nilang mag-usap-usap, magre-recommenda po sila nung tamang rekomendasyon para sa amendment ng universal healthcare na dadalhin po sa Committee on Health.
Hindi po. Ito pong provision na to, kung makikita niyo po doon sa wordings niya, tinanggal na natin sa direct contributors ang OFW. So by taking them out of the direct contributors, hindi na po sila guided o hindi na po sila ginagabayan ng 3% per year, 2.75% per year. Ang sinabi natin sa batas, iniiba namin ang migrant workers at kayo OWA, kayo PhilHealth at ngayon po pagdagan DFA, gawin ninyo kasama ang mga NGOs at yung mga OFWs yung tamang batayan ng kontribusyon.
In other words, Mr. Chairman, baliktad po pala yung aking interpretasyon. Yung pinakita po ninyo dito, ito po ang magiging rekomendasyon ng ating pong committee kung saan ay ating pong napag-usapan. Na kung saan ito po ang gagawing amendment sa Committee on Health at ito na rin po ang i-implement ng ating pong grupo ng DFA, PhilHealth, OWA, at para ma-determine kung magkano yung tamang kumbaga parang price na sisingilin po natin sa OFW.
Mr. Chair.
Si Attorney Trixie Cruz Angeles po, meron din po siyang isasubmit sa atin. Ang critical lang na dapat nating gawin, with the indulgence of the minority leader, of course, Congressman Barsaga of the NUP, na meron tayong ginawang amendment ng batas kaagad.
Yes.
Hindi ho natin mape-perfect dito yan. Sa Committee on Health yan, ipe-perfect. By guidance yan ni Speaker Alan Cayetano kung anong yung final na gagawin natin. Pero yung aksyon na paggawa ng pag-amyenda ng batas ay magawa natin kaagad-agad.
Mr. Chair.
In other words, Mr. Chairman, dito po sa proposal mo ay hindi pa nakalagay yung tamang rate para sa mga OFW.
No, actually, the rate will be determined by the agencies.
Okay.
Minority Floor Leader?
Yeah, I saw the amendment. Nakalagay po doon yung in coordination with OWA, di po? We could be able to, in coordination with OWA, and partnership of the Department of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Minority Floor Leader. So noted po. Tsaka po yung relevant NGOs. Mr. Tolentino, pwede po kayong mahinga ng opinion dito po sa amendment ng batas? Mr. Tolentino?
Ayan. Opo, so in terms of doon po sa amendment, I think it's a good way po to help us here, lalo na nga ngayon na may pandemic. And napakagandang balita po yan. Kaya siguro if there's anything that you wanna ask, it has to be a refund. Pero itong amendment na to is very, very helpful. I really appreciate this. Thank you po.
Salamat, Mr. Tolentino. Huwag po kayong mag-alala. Yung boom po sa refund, nakatutok naman si Congressman Benny Abante. At alalay po lang dyan. Anyway.
Mr. Chair, may I have the floor, please, Mr. Chair?
Thank you, thank you. Andiyan po pala kayo. Kala ko na wala po kanina.
Yes. Bumalik po. Thank you so much po. At thank you, Mr. Chair, at saka yung membro po ng honorable members of this August Chamber. Yung po tungkol doon sa premium, doon po sa mga konsultasyon na nakukuha namin dito at sa mga kasabahan ko, we would like to stick to the 2,400 na what is being asked right now. Why 2,400 and why not? First, what is the truth? The Universal Healthcare Act is a social legislation. It is ab initio a government-subsidized healthcare program. Congress knows it is only through that way to attain the state and the law's policy objective of affordability, Section 3B, and without causing financial hardship, Section 2B of the IRR, of the IR or Republic Act 11223.
Mr. Legaspi?
Yes po.
Pasensya na po. Kasi po itong amendment na ginawa po natin will take you out of the direct contributors. Kung nakikita nyo po na iba dapat yung amendment natin o may nakikita kayong pagbabago, we're very welcome ho. Okay ba po sa inyo to?
Happy na po ako dyan, sir. If we will be taken out as direct contributor, then it's okay. I was thought that we will be talking about the premium or we will be setting up the premium para po doon sa contributor. Because aside po natin, we wanted also to have coverage lalo sa mga pamilya namin. Hindi naman, siyempre, kailangan din natin yung PhilHealth niyan.
Po, ang ginawa po namin, Mr. Legaspi, tinanggal po namin kayo dun sa direct contributors. Hindi po namin tinanggal, pero sabi namin, for migrant workers, magkaroon tayo ng ibang usapin. Sa kadahilan ng ang kanilang sitwasyon ay kakaiba din sa lahat ng direct contributors.
All right. Loud and clear, sir. We hear you. Thank you so much.
Ay, salamat po, Mr. Legaspi, and thank you for staying with us. Madaling araw na po pala dyan. Thank you.
Sige. We'll stay towards the info, sir.
Mr. Chair. Okay, thank you. Do I hear other, parang may nagsasalit?
Sir,
Yes, Ma'am Ople.
Yeah. Sir, pwede rin po bang maglagay lang dyan ng parang oversight na ano man ma-agreehan namin, it has to also be presented to an oversight committee para lang may guidance lagi ng Congress.
Ma'am Toots, di po ba sa Universal Healthcare Law may oversight po tayo with the Senate and Congress? Would that be suffice for the oversight?
Yeah, I think so, kahit ano po na oversight kasi alam naman natin banggaan yan ng key performance indicators eh. So PhilHealth will always push for more contribution. So para lang may mag-referee po just in case lang na nakakailanganin na down the road.
Agree po. So we will just include here that the oversight committee will siguro po on the final confirmation of rates that this will be submitted to the oversight committee. Okay
Yes,
po.
sir. Yes, sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir?
Thank you, Ma'am Ople. Meron pa ho?
Sir?
Yes,
Sir,
ma'am.
Chona Yap sa PhilHealth.
Yes, Ma'am Yap.
Gusto ko lang i-clarify. Until that amendment becomes a law, what's going to happen to the Universal Healthcare Law which makes the OFWs members? Suspended ba ang contribution ng OFWs?
As far as the President is concerned, it should be suspended as far as the sense of the Committee on Public Accounts, Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability led by Chairman John Alvarado. The senses of both committees is that you should not collect and you should not force our OFWs.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Salamat po. Minority Leader? Sige.
Yes. Mr. Chair, I'm so glad that Susan Ople, Toots Ople raised the issue on the oversight. If I may also propose, Mr. Chair, that before PhilHealth can ever put up an IRR, that the IRR, first of all, should be submitted to the Oversight Committee for review, Mr. Chair.
Agree, Minority Floor Leader. Yes, we will make the necessary amendments to this provision, Minority Floor Leader. Kung okay lang po, yung po mga inputs nyo lahat, ayusin po natin, tapos we will all sign to be submitted to the Committee on Health, Congressman Abante.
Yes, in fact, Mr. Chair, I could be able to say now that the minority bloc will be supporting the amendment.
Maraming salamat po, Congressman Abante. Deputy Speaker Fernandez.
Mr. Chairman, kung wala na pong iba na magtatanong at
Mr. Chair.
meron po wala?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, Gabriela po.
Yung Brosas, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Siguro last na lang po since meron po kaming House Bill 6698 which was filed on May 7, 2020. And I believe yung mga provisions po dito ay tutugma naman doon sa gusto ninyong mangyari. But ihahabol ko lang po sa paghahabol namin. First of all, ipinapaliwanag namin na gusto nga sana namin na i-allow na voluntary membership yung sa PhilHealth, no? Kasi hindi lang temporary, no, na pag-relieve ng additional burden. Gusto po sana natin sagutin tayo na maging voluntary yung membership, tapos i-remove yung double payment dahil i-insurance na nga sila sa host countries, nag-i-insurance pa sila dito sa ating bansa dahil automatic sa PhilHealth yon. At hanggat wala namang batas na aabot dyan, yun pa rin ang ipapatupad. And compounded interest for unpaid premium and unjust premium increases. Yun po yung mga amending provisions sa Universal Healthcare Law na sinasabi ng Makabayan Bloc na included po sa House Bill 6698. At very specific po sa premium contributions ng Section 3, I've seen na halos pareho po tayo ng nilagay doon. And yung we also agree with the technical working group na isasama ang iba pa. Sana po, Mr. Chair, ang hiling ng kinatawan na ito, yung usapin ng House Bill 6698, pag tinake up sa Committee on Health, ay isama po yung mga amending provisions ng Makabayan Bloc. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ma'am Brosas. Ito naman pong batas natin na ginagawa is the action taken up by the Committee on Public Accounts and the Committee on Government Public Accountability. Tapos, Ma'am, yung pong House Bill na sinabit ninyo at lahat po nitong mga rekomendasyon natin will be taken up in the Committee on Health. So palagay ko naman po, pati yung mga individual amendments will be taken up there. At nagpapasalamat po kami dun sa ginawa ninyong House Bill. I'm very sure it would help our OFWs, ma'am. So okay, kung wala na pong mga katanungan, the Honorable Fernandez recognized.
Mr. Chairman, kung wala na po, with the guidance of Speaker Alan Cayetano at ang kanya pong mandato na mabigyan ng kaukulang pagbabago ang Republic Act 11223 at yung pong premium na binabayaran po ng ating mga OFW ay mabago, I move that we adopt the proposal of Chairman Congressman Mike Defensor with regards to the changing of the payment of the premiums of our OFW. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker Fernandez. Ito po'y produkto ng Committee on Public Accounts, Good Government and Public Accountability. As mentioned, ito po'y may guidance ng ating Speaker Alan Cayetano na may ayos kaagad yung problema dito sa provisions as regards yung po mga apektado ang ating OFWs. Motion, there being no objection, the act of the committee to provide an amendment to be taken up in the Committee on Health is hereby carried. Para po sa panghuli na lang, dito po sa Thursday hearing natin, magsisimula din tayo ng 9 o'clock, Deputy Speaker Fernandez.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And,
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, 1 o'clock pala po on Thursday. Ang invited po natin yung mga hospitals. We already asked the PhilHealth for the documents. Pwede ho naming makuha yan. And we are directing the COMSEC and the PhilHealth officials to be here 1 o'clock on Thursday. And we are directing the COMSEC to also send invitations to the hospital owners and management doon po sa may mga supposedly fraudulent claims. Para din ho malinaw natin at malinaw nila yung mga issues laban sa kanila.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chair. PhilHealth.
I'm sorry.
Para baka po kasi may makaligtaan kami, baka pwedeng yung mga hospitals kanina na binanggit ni Mr. Chairman, yung actual copy Kasi puro lang umpisa kanina isulat namin para wala kami makaligtaan doon sa mga hospitals. Can we provide the list?
Yes, we will do that. Iano po namin dito sa COMSEC. We will do that immediately.
Thank you.
Kong Benny Abantes, recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What Congresswoman Brosas brought up, Mr. Chair, I think there is wisdom on it. So I asked the committee if they could be able to study, Mr. Chair, the proposal of Congressman Brosas. And secondly, Mr. Chair, sana wag din kaligtaan ng PhilHealth na ibalik yung contribution sa sobra na binigay sa mga OFW. Yun lang po.
Thank you, Minority Floor Leader.
And at the same time, Mr. Chairman, if I be allowed, Mr. Chair, that since na may hearing po tayo sa Thursday about dun sa mga hospitals, kasi kanina medyo bitin naman ako dun sa accreditation ng committee with regards dun sa mga service providers na nagre-remit ng pera ng mga OFW mula sa abroad papunta po dito sa bansang Pilipinas. So may we request the presence, kahit sa summan lang po, yung pong head ng committee ng PhilHealth sa accreditation ng mga service provider dito po sa Pilipinas. Yun lamang po, Mr. Chairman, at muli, maraming po salamat.
Thank you. The COMSEC is directed to invite the head of the accreditation committee dun po sa nagbibigay ng mga services as regards remittances. So ordered. We would like to recognize Mr. Hans Kakdak of OWA. Magandang hapon po, Mr. Kakdak. Sir, nakaano po kayo, Mr. Kakdak? Naka-mute po ata.
Maraming salamat, Chair. Nagtaas po ako ng kamay kanina. But ang comment ko lang po, first, we're thankful for this new role that we have in service of our OFWs, Chair. We welcome this po. We thank the committee and the Chair, of course, for this. Ang small suggestion ko lang po, sir, I don't know if it's too late, kung we could be guided by standards sa consultation process, maybe fund viability or OFW affordability, magiya lang po kami as to ano yung standards na gustong italaga ng komite at ng Kongreso para magabayan po kami doon sa proseso ng discussion and consultation. Yun lang po.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kakdak. Mr. Kakdak, before I let you go, ilan pa ho natitira nating stranded sa abroad, sa ating mga OFWs?
Well, ang projection po natin, sir, until the end of the year, mga 100,000 ang dadating pa ho until the end of the year. Projection po natin yan, but I would of course defer also to the DOLE and DFA for their own count. Pero sa atin po, mga 100,000 until the end of the year.
Pero patuloy pa rin po yung pagpapauwi na natin ng mga OFWs coming from other countries.
Kahapon nga lang po ay kabilang ang DOLE OWA sa pagtanggap ng mga kadarating from Lebanon. Mga 387 yan, sir. Nandun si SFA Luxin and DND, DOTR, interagency committee po na tumanggap sa mga kararating from Lebanon. So tuloy-tuloy lang po.
Thank you, Mr. Kakdak. We'd also like to, maraming salamat po, Mr. Kakdak. Magandang hapon and stay safe po.
Salamat po, sir.
We would like to recognize POEA Admin Olalia. Andiyan po ba, Mr. Admin Olalia? Nandiyan po ba kayo? I think medyo magulo po yung signal ni Admin Olaya, but thank you also for staying with us. We would like to thank Mr. Danao, Ms. Malinis for coming here, for staying here with us the whole morning. At yung lahat po ng mga opisyales natin, si Attorney Pucalian, I saw him earlier dito po sa atin, of course, and the other DOH, kasama po rin natin kanina pa dito, DSWD, ASEC Jaislyn Ninane, DOH Villaverde, Attorney Pucalian, kay Ms. Chonayap, maraming salamat po sa inyo. And also again, Ms. Mary Ann Malinis and Antonio Danao. So if there are no more questions, wala na pong clarification. Sa Thursday ho, 1 o'clock po tayo, the continuing hearings on PhilHealth. I'd like to thank Deputy Speaker Fernandez, Congressman Boying Rimulya, and Congressman PD Barsaga. This hearing is suspended.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Meg from the LTFRB Comms team. Are we still waiting for anyone else from the media outlets? Hi. Can anyone hear me? Okay. Sige, I'll do a roll call na lang muna for the attendees. And then, if we're still waiting for anyone else, let's give them 3 minutes na lang. Okay, so we have Mr. Ira Panganiban, Liv Billy Begas, am I pronouncing it right? Aika Ray from Rappler, Alexandra San Juan, Brian Castillo, Chrissy Di Matulak, Franco Luna, Gerard De La Peña, GMA Digital News, Joanne Nano, Catherine Cruz of CNN, Karen Joyce Villanda, Krisha Subing-Subing, Maria Consuelo Marquez. There's someone named Mark. If you could please state your full name po, sir.
Mark Salazar from GMA7.
GMA. Okay. Thank you, sir. Mark Salazar from GMA, Myla Iglesias, Neil Jason Cervalos, Robert Bob Reyes, The Daily Manila Shimbun, TV5 News. Are we still waiting for anyone po from our friends from the media? Is ABS-CBN joining kaya? Would anyone know? Miss Jackie Manabat? Okay, 1 more minute and then we can start na po. Hi! No one else joined na po. We can start the LTFRB press conference. So good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Megan De La Cruz. I am part of the LTFRB comms team, and with me today for the virtual press conference are LTFRB Chairman Attorney Martin V. Delgra III, LTFRB Board Member Engineer Ronaldo Corpus, LTFRB Board Member Police Colonel Joel C. Pernito, LTFRB Technical Division Head Mr. Joel Bolano, and LTFRB PUVMP NPMO Lead Engineer Zebonesa Hossein. So, a few reminders lang, ma'ams and sirs. We can entertain 2 questions per reporter, 1 main question and then 1 follow-up po. If you'd like to ask a question, you could raise your hand or you could send a message sa chat box po. Okay? Thank you. We will now start the press conference. Chairman.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon to my fellow servants in government. Thank you for this opportunity, for you coming in and engaging us once more, especially so that there was already an announcement uh, by the IATF and the President, no less, that the restrictions in Metro Manila will be eased a bit from MECQ to GCQ starting August 19, and that would be tomorrow. Now, having said that, anticipating that restrictions should be eased, preparations were actually uh, ongoing even during the period when there was a suspension of public transport during the time when the Metro Manila was still MECQ. And the preparations, by the way, is not only limited to Metro Manila, but also planning for public transport all across the country. Um, Insofar as Metro Manila is concerned, as we have stated during last week's congressional hearing before the Committee on Transportation, we have said that the LTFRB will be opening up additional routes for PUJ, UV, and buses. Now, uh, we have done so on the commitment that we're going to open up every week. And since the public transport was suspended for the last 2 weeks, we still continued planning so that yung additional number of routes as well as the units that would be allowed to run uh, would actually added up to be open starting tomorrow. So perhaps at this point in time, Meg, if I may ask Joel to he being the head of technical division and the focal person in the planning of all these routes po, I will give the floor to Joel Bulano to explain what we have done so far and the result of the planning that we have made in the opening up of PUJ, UV, and bus routes po. For the PUJ, both for the modern and the traditional jeepneys. Go ahead, Joel.
Thank you, Chair. Meg, if I can share the presentation.
Okay, sir. Hang on po.
Zeb, pa-share ako ng screen ko, please.
Hang on, sir. Kami po yung host. Wait lang po.
Or Meg might have a copy already. You might want to post the presentation.
Yes, Meg, please show na lang sa screen yung presentation natin.
Okay, sir.
Okay, good afternoon again, everyone, especially to the board. Just to show you the situation or public transport during GCQ and during the prior to the MECQ again. This table will show kung ilan na po yung ating mga units at routes na na-open based on the type of services. So from pre-MECQ, ibig sabihin po ito yung nag-start po ng June 1 until po tayo nung August 3. Yung PUB ho natin na-open na po yung 31 routes. If you will notice, the units for buses is 3,662, but the authorized routes na supposed to be na dapat ata po is 4,600. But yung 362, ito po yung actual operating right now. So the other unit, the difference po niyan is still for issuance of a special permit. For the P2P, ito po yung actual routes na ma-open natin na 33. Ito po yung 33 routes in Metro Manila na P2P. We still have 364 units. Hanggang ngayon po yung pa rin po yung mga units na tumatakbo. As to the taxi, nag-increase nag-increase na po tayo from the time, naging 20,493 na po yung existing na tumatakbo currently. Sa TNVS, ganoon din po, 23,776 current na tumatakbo. And sa UV po, before August 4, we already opened 47 routes with 980 units. And ito pong pag nag-lift na po tayo tomorrow, we'll be having additional 4 routes with an equivalent of 641 units to a total of 1,621 units po for UV Express. And for our modern PUV, the 45 routes na inopen natin na 716 units, na yun pa rin po yung total natin sa ngayon. But there are other routes na on the process po. Hopefully, we can still open in the coming weeks. But for the traditional, ito po yung nakafocus din po tayo. From pre-MECQ o kaya yung pong June 1, 63 routes po ang na-open ho natin on with a total of 7,945 units. Supposed to be po, kung hindi po nag-MECQ, nagkaroon po tayo ng additional sana na 15 routes and 968. Pero may MC na po to. So by opening or lifting of the MECQ tomorrow, itong 968 na 15 routes will now be open together with the additional 2 MCs na mag-open din ng August 19 and August 20 with an additional of 1,235 and 2,295 units respectively. So kung titingnan ho natin, ang magiging total na po natin once na-lift na po ulit sa GCQ starting August 20, the total units for PUJ, traditional PUJ will now be 12,443. Meg? Ito pong table na to, ito pong screen na to or yung ating slide, ito po yung detail lang po ng bawat type of services na ma-open o will continue to operate and will add to the number of units and routes for starting tomorrow. So like yung sa UV and sa PUJ and modern PUJ. Next. Okay. So ito po naman yung mga policies natin dahil po yung karamihan po sa mga na-open natin are existing routes. Ang requirement po ng ating LTFRB ng office is just to download the QR code instead of the issuance of issuing a special permit. We will just require them to download through the website of LTFRB the QR code. Naka-ready na po ito. Once na nag-open na po ang GCQ, or even to now, we can already check the website of LTFRB for those routes na kasama na po dun sa mga MCs na i-open natin, including the MC na mag-open supposed to be ng August 5. So, tatlong MC po yun ng traditional PUJ. They can now already get their QR codes sa website po ng LTFRB. And ito pong bagong policy ng board on the no face mask and no face shield, no ride will be explained later by the chair. Chair?